Oh,
Hooray.
you're just like, hooray.
Yeah, hooray. That's as about as excited as I can get, or that I'm allowed to get before, my children freak out.
It'll be okay. It will be okay.
They don't know that.
No, it's a new. Everything's a new sound to them, and they'll just be like, "What the fuck's that? What the fuck's that?
Yep,
What the fuck's that?"
constantly, constantly. So I'm trying to get them desensitized to that's a loud house. I watch sports. I do this. I scream at my TV for Helldivers. Um, I get drunk. Things
And like
happen. Like, I get loud. So, but the fridge opening is right now the challenge. So
they
I just had
just,
to stay perfectly still. So I'm gonna do a perfectly still podcast as much as I can.
oh my
So you have a
god,
measured approach to
you
today's
think you can do
podcast.
that?
I have to try because I mean they're sleeping so peacefully right now. I would hate to disturb that. Oh goodness. Yeah. I don't want to scare anybody. So
All right, we'll do our best to keep you quiet,
it's a
but
nice
we
little
are gonna be
background.
we're gonna be talking about movies. Um,
The
yeah,
80s
so yeah, I know you're gonna get a little excited. So
on the
we'll see what.
inside, on the inside.
Yes, yes, but
Indoor voices today.
well, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to get overly excited, but you will. So, but let's
Yeah.
just kind of jump into this.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I know. I kind of want. I'm like, let's again AI. I'm like, let's look at some old fashioned logos and shit like that. So that's kind of what I was searching for, and this is kind of what was found. So I was like, all right,
I like it. It's
it
got an
is. It's
old
kind of nice.
school like kind of flavor.
Yeah,
It's talking about what you and I were talking about, like little secret project that we have. I got to come up with something like that because I
yeah.
think
We'll
that's
talk a
gonna
little bit
be
more.
that
I've been
potential is really funny.
Yeah, because they well, I want to do that for different reasons. Because we can do funny stories, we can do horror
Mm.
stories. So you get, it's gonna. I want to practice a little bit, and I have a couple that I haven't really written out, but I've been getting pictures, and it's been hard. But so I was like, okay, because again, making these Soto, I had to do the Soto and Chat show. So every time you put in a prompt, it gives
Yeah.
you four. It gives you like four
Hmm.
different options, okay? And I've shown
Hmm.
you this in the past. Do you know how many times they misspell one thing? Like I specifically write out this is what I wrote out. The text and then in
Hmm.
capitals, I did the Soto and Chad show,
Yeah.
and then an old fashioned logo. I kept it simple. No, I got the so and the head show or and you see this like it takes so long just to get something semi right, and then so this one came up. I'm like, perfect. This is fucking perfect. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like, all right, finally works. Same with the starting soon, because sometimes, one or like a lot I get is the Sutu show. Like it'll be
The
S O
Sutu.
O T
Yes.
T O S O T T T. Like, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, just follow the exact instructions that I fucking wrote and give me what I want. But yeah, so as we know, AI art, but there's always ways of working around, but you can do it like realistic, this and that. And like I said, I just do different things. And you'll
Yeah.
laugh because so some of the things coming up, which I'll, before my main topic, coming, I was just like, the Soto and Chad show, two people watching the logo on a big screen. And some of these are hilarious. I wish I could show you some of them, but it turned out so wrong. So these are just the two of the best ones, and you'll just laugh at it. Let's just go to it right now. I know it's just me and you, and we're just bullshitting. I know people tend
Yeah.
to watch this a little bit later. But look, I'm just like, because they're not even looking at the screen.
No, what's happening right there? What's going
They're
on
just,
behind them?
I think, well, because I was like, I wanted I was trying to make it so our logo is like on a movie screen, and then they're
Sure.
watching, and these guys are like, oh my, you know what? They could be on drugs. They could just be like, this is how they watch movies. But yeah, I mean, trust me
Yeah.
when I say,
Yeah.
and sort of, this is one of the better two that can't. I only used a couple. Sometimes I go through old ones, but I just
Yeah.
like just to have filler and stuff like that. But anyhow,
So
um,
many drugs. I mean, their pupils are just pinned right now.
very, very. They're just,
So,
but have you not noticed the real problem with this? They're on so high, they're trying to drink the motherfucking
yeah.
popcorn.
I was just going to mention that. I was like, so is the soda underneath the popcorn? Is it a secret chamber, like a
I,
two-in-one combo, where it's
I,
like
I
the
don't know.
popcorn's at the top, but then that's a weird concept It's a weird concept. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's why I love it. It does well because it helps with
Maybe
some
they're
logos.
drinking the butter.
Oh, that's so fucking gross.
Yeah, so basically
Uh,
what you do is you drink the butter and then or you suck the butter up through a straw, then you kind of spit it out, regurgitate it back onto your popcorn.
oh no, 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 no. Oh my god, I haven't had movie theater popcorn in so long. There is a
Oh my
popcorn I tend
God.
to buy because it's like low
No.
salt, no, nothing added, blah 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 at home. Sometimes it's an easy snack mode and it's cheap, but I'm just like, oh my god, I haven't been to a movie in theater in so long. But
I like the smell of popcorn a lot more than the actual taste of popcorn, and the experience of it. And also the smell of popcorn makes you feel like I'm at work. Because we used to fucking, you know, cook bags of popcorn at Blockbuster and like walk around with them like on Friday night so that people could be
just
like,
eat it in front of customers, like,
"Oh,
oh, you
I
looking for
want one
this
of
movie? Yeah.
those."
Oh yeah, you can just
Yeah.
buy this here. Get two for $2. Blah blah
Oh
blah.
my God.
Get
Well,
the
you're getting
tubs two
us.
for four.
Yeah, you're getting a box of chocolate candy, like just for $1 more, you can get a soda and you can get a popcorn. And they're like,
$3 altogether.
oh,
Is it sad that we still know
uh,
this? Is it sad that we know the prices to these combos?
oh, dude, it was like what? It was like what, $2 or $3? Not
All
bad
right,
actually by today's standards.
so the popcorn deal was two single bags of popcorn, two for two. The $3 deal, yes, as you just said, was the popcorn, a box of candy, and a 20-ounce drink. I think was $3. And I
Yeah,
think they had
make
the
it a
tub of
blockbuster night.
popcorns. Yeah, that was the big one, two for four. And eventually they tried like a two drink. Into I don't know, but yeah, I mean, now I'm thinking like a drink, a candy, and a popcorn for $3. I'm like, damn, like sodas on their own. If you look at some of that, even if it's just water, it's like $3. But that
You go
tells
to
you
a
how
movie
long.
theater and you buy that stuff, you're gonna spend at least $30.
Yes, yes.
Which is why I sneak in all the snacks at the movie theaters that I possibly can. I don't remember the last time I actually, if I buy candy or popcorn at a movie theater, it's like because I haven't prepared correctly, or I've been surprised by having to go to the movie theater like all of a sudden, which never happens. Um, I think now they're doing like these collectible, kind of like fleshlight fucking popcorn things now. Like there was that Dune popcorn bucket
Oh
that looked like you could
yeah.
fuck it, the fuck it bucket.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think they have one for Deadpool, Wolverine. That's where I
they
even
do,
seen. Yeah,
which
they
I
must. They
can't wait to
have
see
to.
that.
Especially the fucking buckets. That works perfectly for a Deadpool movie. Oh
uh,
my god.
I think there was one. My mother-in-law actually got one for like, what's the main bad guy I saw? Jigsaw or something.
Oh, the Saw movies. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Jigsaw.
yeah, there was like a specialized popcorn bucket for that, but that's all that the movie theater really has is like novelty buckets. But then it's like these things just collect in your house, and it's just why? Like, there's no reason. It's just no fucking reason. Like, I get it. The movie theater, like once you're in there, they know that you have no choice but to buy their stuff. But they also like have never checked my bag, anybody's bag. Like, I don't know why
No, they
people
don't. They don't
even
really
waste
give a
their
shit.
fucking money.
Yeah.
No, like the guy at the counter, like, or when take your ticket, they're just like some 18, 20-year-old person that just does not want to be there. And like they barely even look at your ticket and tell you where to go and stuff. So like we just, Sarah has Coach bags, and yeah, we just sneak it in. My mom, I've said this before, she used to fucking like just make lunches for us and take us to the goddamn movie theater. She'd like put lunches in our bags. Like I remember like a movie would start, we're watching Lawnmower Man, which we never should have watched at that age. And like all of a sudden in the opening credits, my mom's like unwrapping a bagel sandwich that she made at home, like from aluminum foil and shit like that. And we're like so happy to be there. But yeah, I've mentioned before too. It's like we used to get hot dogs and shit like that, and nachos, because like out in California in the early '90s, that was kind of a novelty. Like that wasn't really. Now it's like you have Chunkies and pretty much can
Yeah.
have waiters come to your fucking, which I find so ridiculous. Like I don't want anybody coming over. Like once a movie starts for me, in the movie theater, it's like, okay, I've got my stuff and I'm not leaving. I know people need to go to the restroom. I'm not judging you. But for me personally, a movie starts, I sit there, I'm there for the whole 2 hours.
Duration. Yep.
That's why I don't go to movies now, because I'm like, 3.5 hours for Dune? No, I'd rather do that in my house because my bathroom's right there, my fridge is right there. I can
And you can
pause Dune,
pause. Yep.
or I can be like, you know what? I'm going to watch the first episode of Dune, which is going to be the first hour, and then I'm going to stop watching it. And then the next night,
I'll
I'm going
watch
to watch
episode 2.
another hour. Yeah, I'll just break it up in episodes because that's what the pandemic and everything. It's funny because it feels like it still was like only like maybe a year or two ago, at least for me. It's 4 years ago,
Yep.
but it showed that people really don't want to leave their house anymore. Like I know that people are still going to the movie theaters and stuff, but if it's convenient, it's people are all about it. Like streaming is just convenient. I know we could talk shit about how it's basically cable now. You're basically like because like they're all like merging and shit, but it's really like carte blanche. You can pick whatever you want to watch. You can watch it whenever you want to watch. You don't have to be set to a time that it's going to premiere like at night. So you can really kind of build your life around it. It's like this modern kind of world that we're living in. It's like having to do things that are scheduled is kind of like it's not very convenient. You know what I mean? So I think sports is probably the only thing that's still kind of like that. But now you can see sports pretty much wherever you go. I think even the NFL app, you can just watch any NFL game if I'm not mistaken on your cell
No,
phone, right?
you can't.
Oh, you
I did
can't.
have I had the NFL app, and because you can't watch. You can watch any game that is on TV in your local game. You can listen to every game, but on the actual just the NFL one, I think you need like the red zone or some shit like that. But if you just have
Oh,
the basic NFL app, you can watch whatever games are on TV, and that sometimes I did that because if Jill
so you
was
can watch
on.
local games,
I could watch or whatever was on TV. So like if the
but not the
Bears happen to
Bears.
be the prime
Yeah.
time stuff like that or whatever game, but you can also listen to any game like the radio version or basically the
Which
broadcast.
I'm
So you can
fine
put it
with.
on listen, and I've done that too. I would put it on. I would listen to the Bears, and I think I was doing like a little puzzle or something like that in the other room, and I just as I'm listening to that, and if it got excited, I just put my hands back like yes or no. You know how it goes, but.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so if you have the actual NFL app, it's basically the basics. It's just a different way that you can watch it without cable, but it's not every game. But I think if you get like that red zone stupid package, which is so friggin' expensive, like I just need a game. But then again, like yeah, I can just listen to it and I'm fine. I'm doing other
Oh,
stuff.
I'm fine. I
Yeah,
don't need to
so
like basketball, baseball, football. Like, if the only option I have is to listen to it, that's good enough for me. Like, because then they do it well enough where it's like I can imagine like everything that's going on. It's like if you know the sport, it's really easy. Because people used to be, I would hang around like other people and be listening to the game, and I'd be like, oh, they'd be like, oh, they threw a flag, and I'd be like, oh, okay, that must be like offensive holding and stuff. And they're like, how do you know that? You can't even see the game. I'm like, do you know how many football games I've watched in my life? Like, if I hear somebody say that there's a fucking yellow flag on a run, like in the backfield, I know that 9 times out of 10 that's fucking
that's
holding.
holding. Mhm.
You
If it's on
know,
the other side, it's on our sides. It depends where it comes from, which ref. So yeah, you can usually tell
right.
pretty
Or a
much
flag in
right away.
defensive backfield. You're like, like if someone's like, oh, flag in the backfield, like, on a pass, then I'm like, oh shit,
Oh,
that's either
someone interfered
defensive
and it's
holding or it's pass interference.
yeah.
Because this shit happens all the time. So, I mean, to me, yeah, sports is the only one where it's like, okay, yep, this is the time that sports are on. Like, for example, tonight the Celtics are going to be on at 8:30. I'm going to be there. I'm going to watch it on cable, and I'm going to make time for it. But the reason I started gravitating towards basketball in the first place is because it doesn't ask me too much of my time. Like, basketball games are like maybe 2.5 hours. Like, I'm okay with 2.5 hours for a sporting event. Like, football being 3 hours, I'm fine with because it's on a Sunday. Um, so I can live with that. But baseball, although it's gotten way better this year,
Yeah, some of the improvements.
um,
Yeah,
way better
last year I
this year.
think.
But
Yeah,
baseball, like, would be like, oh, I'm gonna watch a Yankees game and it's gonna be 4 to 5 hours. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to live life. Like, I'll just catch up on it. Like, yeah, I saw the Red Sox win a World Series. I've seen them win three now in my lifetime. I'm not saying that I'm not a Red Sox fan. Obviously we're going through a kind of rebuilding period, but as I get older, I don't really have that kind of drive to be like, I have to watch every moment of every sports game. Um, and the same thing with movies. It's like I don't feel like I have to rush to the movie theater to watch something that just came out like I did when I was younger. I never, like, if there was something that was awesome, yeah, I was there.
Hmm.
Maybe I was there opening weekend. Maybe I was there because it's like, you don't want to be. It's like the fear of missing out thing. The FOMO thing. You don't want to like, be the person who hasn't seen it. You want to be
Yeah.
able to be like you were there for it. But now it's like shit comes out early and you get to it when you get to it. Or it's like a movie like Dune Part 2, I've heard is good. The first one was pretty boring to me, quite honestly. But I am interested in seeing the second part because, I do like when stories end, which, the first movie didn't really end to me. Like, I am a traditionalist when it comes to cinema, where I'm like, you have 2 hours to tell a story. Please have it end in that 2 hours. So, but everyone was talking about Dune. Everyone was crazy. I didn't have the FOMO. I was like, this is going to come out in like a couple of weeks and be streaming. It's on HBO Max right now. You know what I mean? You could turn on HBO Max right now and you could watch it if you wanted to spend the rest of your day fucking watching a goddamn bloated ass fucking movie. You could do that. But I'm in no rush to do it. I'm also like, it also makes me not want to watch stuff like that because now it's like, I know it's always there. So there's no urgency for me to be like, because I'm like, it's kind of like my gaming backlog, right? I'm sure you have one as well, which is like well into the hundreds. I don't have
Oh,
any
I'm sure.
urgency to
Well,
play
yeah,
those
because I
games.
buy, I technically buy everything on PS
I
Plus,
see
blah blah
that.
blah. I'm just
I
like
see that
whatever,
every month.
I'm like sometimes they'll come up, and I'm part of the PlayStation Stars, so sometimes if you get like the points, the gift cards, I do
Yes.
that. But yeah, no, there's a couple like I'm trying to finish Tiny Tina's Wonderlands because I got into Killer Clowns, and I
Yeah,
know
you're
we're
into
doing
that.
Helldivers, and I know I want to get, we need to get into the Devil Within Me. Yeah, like that's the next kind of. We bought that because it was finally on sale for pretty cheap, and it's continued that. But yeah, no, I'm looking. I have to like how they have like that wish list, like I have to keep that there sometimes. Just other ones like, oh yes, because it says PS Plus included. I'm like, I want to play this. I got to remember to play this sooner or later. And I'm just like, am I really ever gonna fucking play this now? So,
I mean, I'll give you
but
kudos, man. You played both the Final Fantasies in one like calendar year. I don't know when I'll even get to Rebirth
oh,
or
sick.
when the fuck I'll even get to 16.
When I see you next time we meet up, I have like because I have the physical copy. I'll lend you 16. I mean, whenever you get to it, I don't know. It is a phenomenal game, one of the better ones in the series. It is more mature. I mean, obviously, Rebirth because of our love for Final Fantasy VII is a little different, but yeah, Final Fantasy 16 definitely tops a lot of Final Fantasies. It was so freaking good, and I'll leave it at that. But I'll lend you my copy. You get to it whenever you can. But I want to believe if you make, if it's your next main game, because I know you always, kind of, yeah, your Cyberpunk time, you got your Fallout time, but now it's like when
Oh
you're
God,
looking,
I'm
if
balls
you
deep.
start it a little bit, I think you'll get hooked. I feel like you would. I could be wrong. Anything could happen, but I think you're like, fun. But the hard part is
I mean,
starting it.
at this point, I feel like I'm going to be holding it in my hands at your eulogy 30 years from now and be like, Chad, I'm
Oh, so
80
I'm
years
dying first.
old.
Got it.
Yes.
Probably, but not.
It works for the story, all right?
All right, all right, all right, all right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's
But
continue the story.
just
You're
80-year-old me over your casket holding a copy
Joe's
of Final
crying.
Fantasy
You're
16.
holding the copy of Final Fantasy 16, even though they're on like Final Fantasy 25 by then.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. I'll be like, Chad, I'm going to start Final Fantasy 16 for you in the year 20, whatever the fuck, 2050 something. I'm
Well,
going to be like, I'm going to play
50,
Final
20.
Fantasy 16. Look, all right, don't
I'm going to play
don't
it on my
math
PlayStation
check me.
9.
Yeah,
Is it
to me,
backwards
that
compatible?
it does. Yeah, it doesn't play PlayStation 5 games. It's like that you have to get an emulator for. Yeah. No, that at the pace that I'm playing games now, yeah, because like I said, it's like they're there. I have hundreds of games. They're there. I keep telling myself one day I'm going to be incapacitated and I'll have all these video games and I'll catch up to them. No, I won't. I was
No.
unemployed like 2 years ago. Like 2 years ago, I was unemployed when we started this podcast. Um, I was unemployed for months. I don't remember beating many games. I was just like,
I think I did when I was unemployed. That's when I first started getting it. I actually got my first platinum trophy because I was unemployed. I was like, fuck it, I'm doing this. I beat the game normally. I'm like, oh, I can do this. So, yeah.
I had worked so much for so many years that by the time I was unemployed, and I used to fantasize about going on sabbatical. And like, things I would do, and I would like be running through the fields, like just so happy because I was free. And it ended up just being like riddled with like anxiety daily. Like I remember Sarah having to like write me grocery lists so that I would leave the house every day because I would just get down in the dumps and I just wouldn't do anything. And I think that like when you're depressed, it's like you don't even do things that you think are fun. I didn't know what to do with myself in my free time. I'm still trying to kind of figure that out because even now it's like I'll have free time and I'll be like, oh, I could play this game, but I'm like, oh, but if I play this game, it's gonna take like 3 hours, and then there go my whole day. But I'm okay with like worrying about those 3 hours going by and having them go by for those 3 hours and actually doing like something. So I'm like paralyzed by the amount of fucking options I have between movies, between games, between TV shows. I mean, I have been watching Twin Peaks for like, I don't know, since January, I think. Okay, this is like a 22 episode TV show, like 45 minutes each. Like, and I've been watching. It's so we're in June, so yeah, it's taken me 6 months to get through a fucking TV show. And that's a TV show I want to watch. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
like right now, here I am stuck on Fallout 4. I platinum Fallout 4 already. I platinumed it 2 years ago. But I turn it on and I just want to build shit. Like I want to play The Sims and shit. I don't even care about the story. I'm just building stuff. I'm collecting. I'm literally going from place to place. I'm collecting junk. I'm dismantling junk, and then I'm using that to create really shitty settlements for no reason whatsoever. I still have Yakuza Like a Dragon that I was like 100 hours into and just dropped, which now I have to restart again because I don't fucking remember the story. So there goes another 100 hours. Um, Final Fantasy 16. Like the game, like the reason I like things like Helldivers is because I know that we can play it on Thursdays and there's no story and
You're done.
there's no like commitment. Like there's no like, oh, I got to It's like this will always be here. Like I keep track of it during the week, with
It's
the
more
things
than
that go
I'll be
on
honest.
because
That's more than I do. When we
well,
play,
because
I'm
there's
like,
funny shit that
I just
happens.
want to shoot bugs, shoot machines, whatever Tengu puts it in, and I'm like, I don't care. Just have me shoot shit. That's
Well,
why
the
I'm stuck.
last, if you
That's why I'm
remember,
stuck in the Tiny Tina's right now because I don't even know most of the game right now. But I'm like, I just want my good guns, and I'm just gonna blow everything up. That's why I'm kind of I needed Tiny Tina's because I just like you said I did Final Fantasy 16, then I went right into Rebirth. They saved us getting us Helldivers, playing Helldivers with us because we almost did Final
oh my
Fantasy
God.
was the Strangers of Paradise. I was we if we would have done that, that would have been three like and you know us role playing games. There's so much to it,
Hmm.
stuff like that. And like you get so immense. That's why I'm like I need a simple game where I shoot shit and Helldivers and Tiny Tina's. I just sit down because I don't have to do whatever. I'm like, all right, let me just do the side quest and I can be done, And I'm like, I'm just gonna shoot. That's all I had to do. I'm like, oh, is this a better assault rifle? Yes, I'm keeping it. Sell the other thing. Give me four. I got $4 million right now. That's why I'm in my. I just want to shoot things. I don't want a serious story right now. I will eventually get to that, but that's why I'm playing both these games. I'm like, I don't have to think, and that, like you said, I can just put it down. Like Tiny Tina's, I think I played for like 20 minutes, just did a quick thing. I'm like, all right, I'm good, and then caught up on Rocket League, and that was about it. So, oh my god.
Well, if you remember with Helldivers, we were trying to like put some fluid into the ground, and then we got like swarmed by fucking shriekers and shit. Which, by the way, they can't hurt you, I guess, if you're like completely prone on the ground, even though we just had like a fucking freak out.
That's
But
what
that
we
was
do.
also like a bug too. Like there was like way too many fucking, like there weren't supposed to be that many things that spawned like that towards the end, or it was supposed to be
Hmm.
less. I don't know what it was, but I follow the community and it's really funny. And so like that planet that we were working on with Tengu and Mel is like a black hole now because we put all the fluid into the like the ground and shit like that, like the weird like purple fluid. So now it's like a black hole, and no one knows if that opened up a gateway to like another like alien race coming through or anything like that.
Damn, this is getting
So,
kind of. I'm going to need you to keep me up with the story because, yeah, I'm just like,
well, Tengu will too. I mean, for
I
sure,
know.
Tengu and Mel will definitely tell us. But
Well, we're in the
that's
middle of
like,
it. Well,
you know,
there's like this is this kind of mission. I'm like, good. I'm like, oh, okay. We just need to protect. Okay, good. I know my loadout I need, and like that's why it's just like, yeah, I'm just the basic cadet. I'm like, just tell me where to go, what to shoot. I'll try not to shoot you guys, but I'm in.
like when the
I
major
can't be
order
the
was
leader.
like, when the major order was completed for that planet, like if you were playing when the major order completed, like your ship would get transported back to Super Earth, and then everybody got to see like the whole planet turn into basically a singularity and shit like that. It was like post videos, but for me because I don't play every day, I can keep up with it and not have to, because it's like obviously it's a community game.
Mhm.
Um, but to your point, and like we said, I could pick that up, put it down. I'm not like obligated to play Helldivers. We're gonna play it today. It's gonna be great, but I have no obligation. I know it's gonna be fun every time. It's like pure chaos, and you're kind of a nameless soldier anyways. So when you die, it's like somebody just fucking replaces you anyway, right? Um,
That's true. It's like
but
send to the next one.
I have so many fucking games, even installed right now, and I'm like, oh, I can't delete this because I haven't beaten it. It's like I finally uninstalled Cyberpunk recently, and that's only because I had to install Fallout, and that's because I watched the show. And because I watched the show, I was like, well, I have to play the game again. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm like role playing a build. I'm like, okay, this build, I'm going to be this kind of tech character. Okay, I'm going to put points into this. I'm going to play this kind of play style. And then, you basically you experiment with the build until you're OP, and then it's like at that point it's just hilarious. You just do whatever. But like right now, I'm playing a super high luck and super low intelligence build, and it's really funny. So, because you have this perk called Idiot Savant, so it's like randomly you'll get 5-time experience for like anything that you do, like unlocking a safe, killing somebody, and you make this really stupid, like dumb person sound like every time it goes off too. So, oh, and I drink all the time too in the game. Um, so one of my perks is like Party Boy. So it's like I don't get addicted to alcohol, but I get all the benefits of it. And sometimes I'll just walk up to it and be like, ugh, hey. And I'm like clearly drunk, like while talking to somebody in dialogue. It's like fucking hilarious. Because I'll just pound like 3 bourbons and 2 whiskeys and then just talk to somebody because like it boosts your charisma.
Oh my god.
So, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, again, like long rant on media and consumption and being old and not being able to consume it because you have like a regular life. But one day, I hope to watch movies again and play video games again. One day.
It'll happen. It'll happen. You
Yeah.
just gotta do it. You just gotta be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm
Yeah,
doing this. So
Shia LaBeouf, just do it. Just do it.
no, no,
Just gotta
no.
tell
Let's not
myself
bring it.
to do
No,
it.
no, 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 no. I mean,
Why?
I
Kingdom
don't
of
know.
the
I'm
Crystal
not.
Skull is way above like the Rotten score, so it's good.
No, that's a lie. That is a lie. All right, so before we get on to our main subject, um, first of all,
Oh, look at us.
here's the other one that I kind of was like, all right, I can keep this.
What am I
I don't know
looking
what's
at?
going in the theaters, but yeah, that's why it was just
What the
hilarious.
fuck?
But yeah, I don't know. I think they're all just trying to go see us, and they're just fighting. But then there's like 2 guys that I don't know. Um, but
And this is
anyhow,
one of the better ones. Look at how these seats are laid out. Some of those seats aren't even like seats.
I'm not even worried about this. I'm looking at the screen. At least we're drinking sodas and we're not drinking popcorn.
Again, I like to think that we're drinking the soda in a secret compartment underneath the popcorn.
We're just seeing it from the other angle. But
Exactly.
before we get
Yes.
into our main topic, is there any topics that you want to bring up and talk about? I know you just went on a good rant, but I'm just giving you the floor before we get into our main topic for this podcast.
Well, just obviously what's been going on lately, um, with our local news. I realized that I've never asked you this question, I don't think,
Oh,
and I'm curious. It's not really a serious question, but so my first question is like, okay, so where have you traveled outside the United States?
I've never been outside the United States.
Wow. Okay. So my follow-up question to that is, if you had to pick somewhere, where would you go and why?
Oh, okay. Um, Now, or do you want me to give you answers I've had throughout my life? Because
Now,
I've had.
all that matters is now, right?
See, now I'll be honest. Now
That's one of the things that's
no,
important
no,
is
no.
right now.
Hold on. Now I'm going to backtrack to the, what we're talking about. Now, I'm just like I don't really want to go out of the country. I don't give a shit. I like being home. But in all seriousness, All right, so um, because there's places like when I was younger, I'm like, God, I would love to go to Australia. I just felt it was way out there. I don't know. I had a huge kick.
Why?
I,
There's so many
I was
spiders
young.
there.
I don't care. I was younger. I thought it was just cool to go out there. Yes, it's scary shit now, but still, I
I don't like that. I don't like that one
I
bit.
I the one regret I guess I did have, and it was just because I thought it was going to come around later. I could have gone to Japan, so I thought, oh my God, that
Ooh,
would have been good. And
that's my
yeah,
ultimate.
that I think that would just the big city feel and stuff like that, Tokyo and stuff like that. I don't know. I also, I hate to, say this. My wife's not one to fly, and I was trying to coerce. I'm like, would you fly for this? But she won't be able to do it. But I'm like, what if we go to
Has she ever
England?
tried?
No, it won't happen. I'm not going to get into it. But
What
yeah,
about a boat? Like, because
oh,
obviously,
no, 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 that ain't happening either. But as I
okay.
get to that, because I
Like
was
why?
like,
Because of it sinking? I mean, you
anxiety,
could survive a.
anxiety. I'll
Okay.
leave it at that. Um,
Okay. Cool.
but yeah, because our 10-year is coming up in August. 10
Sure.
years, and I was like, huh,
Wow.
would you be
Already.
able?
Fuck.
I
I
know
was
it's
there. I
you
was
were there.
there.
You were there. You sat at the main table, and I think I told you I'm like, where, whatever. I'm like, because we were both. We were both married before, so we didn't care. We're like, people just show up, have a good time, whatever.
It's like I think
Um,
my sister was married right around the same
I
time.
think you had a couple weddings.
Yeah, that was like the wedding week or the wedding month was in August. So
Usually
I think
is.
I went to my sister's before or after. I'm not sure, but 10 years. God damn, dude.
Yeah, but I kind of suggested. I said, because she's a huge Beatles fan, and I'm like, what if I could plan a trip to England and we did these things? And she thought about it, but she's just like, I don't think I can, and that's fine. I wasn't going to push the subject. I'm like, it was just a thought.
Sure. Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know where I'd want to go. I just to go, like, I would love to see Ireland. I would love to see
Oh,
Italy,
me too.
France. So just
Yeah.
sometimes going out there, just so I could easily see any of these places because it's the same, and I know it's the same as just traveling in America when you go to new places. It's just a great
Hmm.
experience. We've been to New York City a few times. Excuse me, and I'm going to burp as I talk, so I apologize to the few
It's the
people that are
soda.
actually
It's the
listening.
soda
Or
you're drinking. It's
that
the
came out later.
popcorn soda.
Shit, where was I? But yeah, like when we went to New York City, it was just amazing. And, just even going into Grand Central Station, leaving that and just seeing
Oh,
all the
awesome.
sights. And I mean, obviously, we know what happened the first time I went there, and that might be a talk for a later podcast. Florida, but, seeing anything new, I think to me, whether it's local or across, another country,
Hmm.
I'm in. Like I said, I mean, if it's safe and I can manage it, I don't mind it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would have a specific place now where I just like I would really love to see that because it would just be now just again just kind of just traveling. Like so, if I had an opportunity to go anywhere, yeah, I would take it. I mean, hell, I would go up to even Canada, just see what that's all about. And but no,
Well,
I
I mean, it's you could drive there,
this is
for
true. I
chill.
could, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I don't have a place like I want to see. Like I don't have a bucket list of places I want to go or see.
Hmm.
I think I might have had that more when I was younger. I know my daughter, like I said, she's on a cruise and she did a lot of, she went to what, Dominican Republic, Virgin Islands, Antigua, St.
Yeah,
Martin, Bahamas, Puerto Rico, and it was
dude,
great. It's a
living
great
her best
experience.
life.
Yeah, and right now she's just in Miami waiting to come home. But yeah, I don't know. Now I look at it as like, no, and I know I just want to live life. Whatever happens, I mean, we'll just go. We're gonna do a trip in August. We're gonna go back to Foxwoods. Hopefully, this time I don't get sick, so we can actually maybe eat at some restaurants like Hell's Kitchen, guys. For
Oh
which
yeah, dude, you
they
need
do.
some fucking beef Wellington, don't you?
Yeah, I got to do it. I got to do it. But yeah, so it's I don't know. Like I said, I think right now it's not about going places. It's just doing things with people. And I don't know if just now it's older. It's like I just want to, have fun and do whatever I can. But I could care less about where I go. Um, and again, I don't mind. Like I don't know if I'll ever travel out of this country. If it happens, it happens. But again, it's not like I was younger. Like God, I want to see the world. I want to do this. Um, Hold on. So Madness just put in America is massive. I think it's more easy to move around in Europe. Um, Maybe.
I've heard that. I've heard Madness said that there's a couple of people that my wife watches that are kind of like these. I guess you can call them content creators from like England and stuff, and they're always commenting about how fucking huge the United States is. Like, for example, how we measure things in time as opposed to miles.
That also
Because like,
depends
oh
which
yeah,
part of the country. That is, I think, more of our side of the. I think that's more of an Eastern and Midwest thing, from my understanding. Because if you go more on the West Coast, they actually give you miles, and I could be wrong. But I hear it also depends.
maybe.
Definitely, it's
Yeah.
definitely a New England thing. It is definitely, like I said, I know when I lived in the Midwest and Chicago, and it's just like, yeah, 15 minutes that way. Well, how many miles?
Or that, oh, it'll take like 2 hours. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, like, it'll take 2 hours. It's about a 2 hour ride. And you're like, okay, 2 hours, that's not so bad. But like for people in England, they're like, what do you mean 2 hour drive? Like, what are you fucking talking about? They're just like, everyone in England or Europe is just like, holy shit, the United States is this huge, massive thing. And yeah, it's a great point. It's like, you don't, for Americans, it's kind of like, why do you want to go other places? For me personally, I've gone cross country a few times. I'm sure you have too.
I've been to LA.
Um,
Yeah, loved it.
I've seen all the states in between. I've seen some southern states. I haven't seen every state, but I've seen like all the major like biomes and shit like that. I haven't been to the Pacific Northwest, um, but I would love to go. But I definitely right now I'm in my mid 40s. I still have a desire to if the money's right, to go to places. I would love to go to Ireland. I'd love to go to England. Um, just love the general kind of idea of going to Europe. I was originally born in Spain. Of course, ultimately, I would love to go to Japan. That's like my huge bucket list thing. I guess if we're going to talk about bucket lists, but I still have that desire to do so. I think that I've just been like tell myself I don't have the money to do it and all that. I think that it's just like you were saying with games. It's like you just got to end up doing it, or you just end up finding excuses not to. Which is I feel like I've done a lot in my life. I think that one time, Sarah and I were thinking about where we were going to go for honeymoon, and we were trying to book a trip, and it was like at the time it was like West Palm Beach in Florida and stuff. And I was like, oh man, it's really expensive. It was like 2 grand or whatever and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I found myself hesitated before I purchased tickets. I had the money. And then she looked at me and she was like, do you want to be the kind of people that always say they're going to do things but never do them? And I just looked at her and I was like, no. And then I just booked it like at that
Yeah.
moment. I just booked that trip because I just don't want to, like you were saying about, earlier this week, that really kind of struck a chord with me. It's like just you just have to live life. You have to live it. Like, and it's not you're not gonna know if it's the right move. You're not gonna, but just like, what you said about Keely obviously making memories. You make memories. Just make memories.
And part
You
of
know.
it's yeah, it's like the whole Japan thing. I just thought I would have another opportunity later. Part of it was a little bit of money, and then it's tough because I say this now. It's different. I know understand a lot of people. Money is tough. Do not get me wrong.
It
I'm not
is.
saying even I think during that conversation we are just like we just both came to the conclusion like we just may live the rest of our lives never owning a house and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we have. And I say yeah, it's hard for me to and I get when I say sometimes it's just money. But I don't mean it in that way. I get it. You want to take care of your family, you want to take care of yourselves, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, like you said, like if you can afford it and you can do it and you're fine afterwards, just do it. It's just like, yeah, it might not, you might have to wait a little bit the next trip, but I'm like, you're gonna remember. You remember that. I remember. I think one of your photos. I can't remember. I don't remember what you were sitting on. You were just laid back. You were sitting on something. Again, this was years. Obviously when you got married, and I think Sarah just shared it. And I don't know where you're sitting. You're just so happy. You're just laid back, and you had your little sandals on, and I'm just like, he's having a great time. And that's it. That's all you
Yeah.
want, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, there's gonna come a time when we're too old to do this. Like we can
Hmm.
still do other things, but I'm just like, you're not going to move around as much. You're not going to think as fast. I think we joke we're going to game until I'm going to game until I can't physically hold a controller anymore.
Hmm.
But and that's why I'm like, I do things now. Even I joke with some people at work because me and my wife now. I've done Foxwoods, I think 3 times. We went there for a show, but we didn't stay at that hotel. It was just very expensive on a Friday, Saturday night. So it's somewhere near. People are like, oh, I don't get gambling. I'm like, there's other things to do besides gambling. And I'm like, yeah, so what? We lose. I'm like, you lose money here, no matter what. Like you said, some people buy shit and bring it home, and then it just stays in a closet or stays whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
but some people like to collect things, and that's okay. That's, everyone does that. I'm like, we just like, yeah, slots. I like sitting at the table sometimes. I want to eat at fucking Hell's Kitchen, which, like I said, they're filming the next series in Foxwood. So I'm like, holy shit, we could be on TV maybe. We have to get
Oh my
fancy.
God, is that really a fucking
Yes,
that's
yeah,
still
Hell's Kitchen
going? Hell's
just
Kitchen?
that I guess so because when we went there, though I got sick, we saw it. I'm like, oh, that was new. They didn't have Hell's Kitchen like the year before or 2 years before when we left. But then I'm like, oh, we should, like, wow. And then I think I read somewhere where it was like, yeah, the next season they were looking for people who might want to work there, like not more behind the scenes, because they needed extra staff. And I think it's
Yeah,
filming
like
June
PAs
and
and shit.
July. Yeah, but FYI, Amanda says if he leaves now, 3 hours he can be in France. 3 hours to get to.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if I go 3 hours north, I'll still, well,
you'll
I'm
still
in
be in New Hampshire.
Massachusetts. I'll be in New Hampshire. I can go like, I mean, I can go all the way to tippy top of New Hampshire. 3 hours might not get me there. And that's not even talking about fucking going to the tippy top of Maine.
Yeah, that's like
Maine
for
is just
me,
like
it's
its
like
own fucking
four and a
thing.
half. No, that's gonna be longer. I've
No,
never.
Maine, for me to drive from Nashua to like let's say Orono, it's about a 5 to 6 hour drive. And in just to give you perspective of that, that's how long it takes me to drive from here to New Jersey.
Yeah, that,
6 hours. So it's like I can like as an American, I have it in my wheelhouse that I know that I can drive in a car for 10 hours plus if I need to in one straight shot. Now, as I'm older, I have to take a lot more breaks because my fucking lower back absolutely cannot take a drive like that like it used to. So I have to like pull over and shit like that. But I can drive a car for like 10 plus hours.
I probably. Well, yeah,
And I'm
probably the
not a
same. Yeah,
trucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a trucker. I'm just an American. Like I know that sometimes, like sometimes you have to drive 14 hours. Um, so madness. If you could picture being in an American automobile for 14 fucking hours.
you can't even get
Yeah.
halfway across the country.
No, I mean, it took me, I drove from Los Angeles to Massachusetts, and it took me 52 hours. And that was driving straight. So that was driving in turns. So it'd be like, okay, I'd be like sleeping, and then like, my best friend at the time would be sleeping in the back, and then when I was tired, he would take over and drive, and it's like, you know, you're driving for so long that you see the sun come up in front of you, and then you actually see the sun set behind you,
Yeah,
then you see the sun come up in front of you again. That is fucking wild. Like that feeling when you're driving through the desert or some of these like flyover states in
Upper New
the middle of the
York.
United States. Oh my God, dude. It's like fucking just the flyover states in the middle of our country. It is desolate.
Wisconsin. I don't know if you had
Wisconsin or like
Ohio a
Nebraska,
little bit.
Kansas,
Oh yeah,
Ohio. It's
that's a
like
little
there are like humongous, like Europe-sized swaths of the United States that are just nothing is
flat.
there.
Because
Like
yeah, when I moved to
nothing is there as
Minnesota,
far as you can see.
I was gonna say when I moved from Minnesota to here, when I was early 20s, I drove straight 24 hours. Well, that's so. What I did was every 4 hours, stop, gas, eat, pee. Mind you, I was like 22, 21,
Hmm.
22, 22, so obviously a lot younger now. But it was 24 hours straight. I stayed awake. I didn't even sleep. But yeah, every 4 hours is that, and yeah, it's just like if you go through Wisconsin, you're going through 2, 3 hours on the main road of just flat. You see
Straight.
nothing. It's nothing. It is so weird. And then you kind of like Ohio's the same until you get to like the Cincinnati, Cleveland area. Then you see some,
Hmm.
at least you see buildings and you're happy. But yeah, I
Hmm.
like you, like upstate New York is where I saw the sunrise, and I was like, oh, this is beautiful. Again, because this is my first main cross country trip that I drove because I know I went the other way, but I wasn't driving then, and I slept a lot. But still, yeah, 24 hours and then 3 hours to get to France. Man, I tell you, if I was living where Madness does, I think I'd be driving around visiting a lot of places. I would be going around Europe a lot. Here
Can't
you
be
go three
walking
hours.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna walk there. It's in walking distance. It's like, holy
Just
shit.
stick out your thumb and you'll be like, yeah, I'll be good. But
That's why I
uh,
would love to go to Europe. It's like so much fucking history,
yeah,
between England, France, Spain, Germany,
all of it.
Portugal, all of it that's been there forever. And it's like the size of New England. It's like absolutely
And here
insane.
we debate like you've never been to Louis Louis.
I
Like
know, right?
that's been around forever, dude.
I can't believe it's still around, okay? Like
I
every time I
know.
drive by it, I'm just like, how? Because like obviously there's so many new things in that fucking area of DW Highway. And there's so much new developments, and it's like Louis Louis is like the bastion of like consistency. I don't know what's happening. I'll have to take a look at some of the reviews for Louis Louis on
We have
Google.
to do an episode. We
We
have to at
do.
least go eat there. And I hate doing this, but we're gonna have to take pictures a little bit. Maybe a
Oh my
little bit
God,
outside, but the food and
content
just we'll
creators.
just we'll just. No, no, I can't. I don't want to publicly just be like one of those quick things. And yeah, it's like the best Italian place in there.
Wow, the trolling that is going to have people are going to be like, "Excuse me, no." That is the most ridiculous statement. And we'll just let the comments just go on
Just let
fire.
it go. Just let it go. Oh
We'll
my
be like,
god.
"This is the best dipping bread in olive oil in the history of the world. It was perfected here in Louisville." I will make statements that are absolutely just exaggerated and untrue, just to piss people off. And you know what? We should do it in the still photograph format that we did
For
for
Fun World.
Fun World, and
Yep.
just have it with the same fucking shitty ass stock music and everything.
No, I don't know. We can't get copyrighted because we will actually do a review. We will be those stupid content creators, but I think that's going to be the joke of it all. Um,
Yeah,
just like
absolutely. I'm
we
like every
review
bite.
Louis Louis, the best Italian
Is,
place in Nashua. Oh
yeah,
my god.
I fucking I ordered the garlic bread. The shit was fucking fire. Shit was delicious. It's the best garlic bread I've ever had, my guy.
But back to your original statement. Yeah, I there might be a couple places I still want to visit in America. I still would like to see Niagara Falls. That's a close enough drive that we can do
You
easily.
guys can
I mean,
easily go
no,
there.
that's what I'm saying. But I'm just talking about there's still things, and overall though, it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't need to. Like when I was younger, there's this I wanted to. Like I wanted to go to all these other countries, but now it's like that I think it just changed. Like, yeah, I don't, I just don't need to go. If it happens, it happens. But it's not like something like, okay, I'll miss. It's just, I just like I said, I just kind of want to have fun and just whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna do whatever. I just don't want to be an old man lying on the couch all the time, sore as shit, and be like, "Yep, just this is my life." No, I every now and then, which you can do once in a while. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying travel every fucking day, but
I
you
can't
know,
afford that shit.
no, we can't until Well, I joked. I told Jill, I said, when we go to Foxwoods, your job is to win us a house. Win enough money. She's like, I'm on it. It's obviously probably not going to happen, and it won't happen. If we win a lot of money, most of y'all won't hear from me again. Don't worry, Soto. You'll come visit. You're
Nice.
okay. Everyone else, no. But in all seriousness, I mean, like, yeah. I mean, I'm not as worried. If it happens, it happens. But I'm not like, hey, let's go here, let's go there. It's just like, what can we do that's fun together, and that's all that
Yeah.
matters. But yeah, that's my answer in a nutshell. So
Niagara Falls is pretty cool. You should try that.
yeah,
It's got a
I
pretty cool
do.
vibe.
Yeah, I would like to at least see it once, and yeah, like you,
Like
I've
Mount
done a lot.
Rushmore and shit like that. It's cool too. Like these
Mount
little
Rushmore, I
American
haven't
things.
I've seen Grand Canyon twice. Once I took a helicopter over it, did like a private tour. Another
I
one
would never do
time,
that.
I actually walked, and was just right up to the edge. I was amazed that you could walk right, how close to that freaking edge you can walk. Like that's scary as
No
shit.
thanks. No
No,
thanks. I mean, look,
no.
I get what people are scared of airplanes, and that's fine. But helicopters, you'll die. You'll absolutely die.
Wow.
You are, and people do die all the time. Like, so if someone was like, "Hey, we're gonna just take a helicopter across," and I'm like, "I'm good.
Well, you can
I'm
take a
good."
bus. Like I said, you can go. I went there twice. Once we did a helicopter ride, but you can just take a bus ride and just go to your own content. I mean, don't keep going down the canyon. You'll miss your bus going back. But
Like planes crash so rarely that when they do, it's like world news. Like when a plane crashes because it never happens. But helicopters crash all the fucking time. You want to compare helicopters to cars?
No,
I mean,
no.
cars don't even fucking show up on the news. The, accidents happen on the highway so much that they're just we look at them as, oh fuck, I'm inconvenienced. Somebody had to kill themselves on
Oh
495.
no.
Oops. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, like we look at it as like an everyday thing, right? Um, but a helicopter, I mean, shit, dude. Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter. I'm good.
All right.
On that dark note,
shall we? Shall we
R.I.P.
go
Kobe
to?
Bryant.
We miss you. We miss you.
Oh
Oh,
God, every day. He started the pandemic. As soon as he died, everything went to shit.
yeah. Was it? Wow. Has it only been 4 years?
Yeah,
I
he
don't know.
died
It's
that
a.
January.
Wow. It seems longer for some reason. I mean, everything seems longer nowadays. So I don't know. But anyhow. All right, Soto. Our
Yes.
main topic is, we're going to talk movie scenes. You don't really know what we're going to be talking about. And FYI, here's a nice little Soto and chat for you, a little bit, fun, Indiana Jones theme. But I want to, what started this is I read this article, and it started with the 100 most iconic movie scenes ever. And I was like, damn, I was looking through them, like, there are some good ones. And I'm like, this is something we should talk about. But I'm like, I don't want to fucking talk about 100 of them, stuff like that. So I was trying to figure out a way just so we can have fun of it. And I was like, you know what? I looked at the list and I kind of looked at other lists. And I don't know what got me going. With movies, when you start reading something, you just keep going and go down that rabbit hole. But I'm like, I took all the movies that were 1980s. And I'm like, maybe we'll do other decades later. But right now, I'm like, let's just focus on the 1980s, and we can discuss each one, and maybe at the end, take a look at what's more of the iconic scenes, and decide which one's the best for the 80s. So I didn't want to
Sure.
exactly tell you, just because I have like a good gut check, and this is going to be difficult. Now there is a couple rules. There's only 12. There's only 12 that's here. I took a couple out that were
12.
horror themed because I know with Halloween we're going to be talking a lot of horror, so I kind of say
Oh
that.
yeah.
There's a couple in there which I didn't feel were scenes. They're just iconic lines. Like they had the original Terminator, "I'll be back," iconic line, but that was not an iconic scene. You know what I mean? Like no one remembers why he did it. I don't know why he just didn't kill the guy, kept going. He just like overall, it's not like a scene
Oh, he
that's a
came back
cultural
with a
fun.
car.
Yeah, but it's still not iconic. These you're gonna. I want to, as we talk about seeing what it meant, for the movie, these have been referenced again and again. But so I also only did one per movie because some movies did have a couple that were on the list. I'm like, all right, I just want to keep it simplified. I wanted us just to have a happy talk of 80s movies because that's our genre. That's our time. We have podcasts that talk about bad 80s movies. I want to talk about
Yes.
good ones. So what we're going to do is, you'll see a picture, and then we will talk. Just talk about how much it meant, and at the end, you'll kind of look at all of them together. And I kind of want us to talk about what we think might be the most iconic. And I'm going to tell you, Soto,
Okay.
this is going to be hard as shit. And you're going to understand why. Because all these are good for different reasons. A couple, might not be in our wheelhouse, but you'll understand why they're iconic. And I couldn't figure out the order. So I did it in order, alphabetical order. So I'm like, yeah, that way there's no
Okay.
bias. Like the best one's out at the end that I think. And I say that because our first one, Soto, you're going to kind of love. And it's the start of Back to the Future, the original DeLorean trial that they do. This is obviously one of the most iconic scenes in the movie
So good. Yes.
and stuff like that. But when you saw this, I know I'm going to give the floor to you more because I know Back to the Future is one of your favorite movies. We've talked about this
Oh,
time and time again. But just this scene,
yes.
this opening scene where they send Einstein, the test
Mm-hmm.
subject, the dog, stuff like that, and you see the DeLorean disappear. How much did this, amaze you and stuff like that? So I'm going to give the floor to you for this scene. Talk about it a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's now that I look at it, I'm like the special effects stick out, but um,
It is
because it's like
80s.
it's so cheesy 80s. But I mean, I fucking loved it. Like this was the first scene where I was like, okay, because this movie starts off very like whatever, and then when this shit happens, it was like, okay, like all of a sudden it kicked it to the next gear and it got super cool. Plus, I loved the DeLorean design when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so iconic. As soon as I saw the DeLorean, and it's like just the way that, like when it goes back in time and how it kind of lights up on the edges and shit like that, like as it's going, shit like so fucking cool. So yeah, to me, like this is a great scene. as I get older, I still wonder, we've talked about this many times, why they're friends, but that's okay. I think we've talked about it. I think that there's been some other lore, like in other side games, that have kind of maybe addressed it. I'm not sure, but it's one of the greatest, like, you just assume, like, the story just assumes that you're okay with it, and so it moves forward. It doesn't explain it,
No.
it doesn't have any exposition, and you know what? Sometimes that's fine.
Yeah, just
You
tell
don't
a
need to
story.
explain it.
Yeah, you
Just
don't
tell
need
a
to over
story. It's like,
explain.
okay, it's like in my mind as a child, I was like, okay, this teenage guy who's 30 or something, uh, this teenager's friends with this guy, this older guy, and they're doing experiments. Like, it checked out for me. Um, I think that part that weirded me out about this part too is that, like, they almost got hit by the DeLorean coming back as well. Like it was coming back in the same
Hmm.
traction too. It's like that. They had to like dive out of the way. Um, and then of course I remember it, like him trying to open the door and then Marty being like, "Is it hot?" And he's like, "No, it's cold, damn cold," or whatever he says when he opens up the door. So I mean, I love this scene. It's great, and it's just such an iconic 80s like scene. You know exactly what movie it is. Everybody's seen it. It's kind of like Jaws, and you know there are movies that stay with us in our sort of collective like minds, and this scene in particular is one that's awesome, and it gets referenced specifically, this flaming tire stuff, like throughout the series as well. So, and it's awesome.
And not just throughout the series, movies have paid tribute to this, that same idea. And also just not just the scene as a whole. You're right. I mean, Einstein coming back, well, the car coming back and almost hitting them was hilarious because he's just like,
Yes.
hold on. And he pulls Marty right out of the way and stuff like that.
They could have died right then.
They could have, Doc just was, I don't know how he figured time travel because at the time he's idiot, but that's just how this dynamic works. But just the scene that created just what it did for the DeLorean. You see the
Yeah.
DeLorean, it's an instant. You kind of mentioned it with Indiana Jones, like you can just see the silhouette of the DeLorean. It's an iconic car, and this scene helped
Hmm.
make that just something that's just lasts for ages. Because here we are, like when did this come out? 85? Is that 85,
Yeah.
84?
Sounds about
Yeah,
right. 85, 86. Yeah.
yeah. So damn, it's all
Same year
close
as
to get.
Teen Wolf, if I remember.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, because that's
As
right.
we've
They came out
discussed.
same summer. That's right in the Teen Wolf podcast. But yeah, no, this just amazed me. And again, you're right. I mean, for you look back at it, the special effects maybe a little dated, but I think it still works. Like I said, the nostalgia's there and everything. And then obviously he goes back to 1955 and but yeah, this scene to me was something that you just always remember. If you're a fan of movies in the 80s, that's one you always remember. So
Why
yeah,
would time travel leave like a fire trail, by the way? I mean, maybe for another podcast, but
well, we can pick apart little things here and there. There's a
science of
lot
it.
of questions. Just how about this? That just goes to the side, like Doc and Marty's friendship. Where you're like, we just don't know why. It just happens, but it's a
It
cool
just looked cool.
visual. It's a
It's
cool
so,
visual.
so cool.
It is, and just especially, I know it's not the screenshot isn't the greatest, but when it was between both, they're like, it was just hilarious
That was
too. But
awesome.
I think it just works, and it is
Hmm.
one of the better scenes that have ever happened. So
He controls the DeLorean with like an RC like car controller.
yeah.
Just
No
fucking
questions.
crazy.
No
Nope.
questions. Don't ask questions. So
As a kid, I was like, this all works. As long as it makes sense cinematically, you can really get away with a lot of things in a movie. As long as it's true to what the fuck is happening. You can
mhm.
be like, yep, I agree with this. This is cool.
Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of the first iconic scene, and Back to the Future, obviously one of our top movies, and definitely I know you've talked about one of your most influential, best movies too. So,
So wait, do I
um,
have to pick between like
no.
like
We're
what's
gonna
coming
you're
is
gonna we're
better
I
or
don't I
okay,
don't
all
want
right.
to make I thought about how to do this and I thought about that. No, we're just we'll
Okay.
talk about each scene on its own, and
Okay.
at the
Okay.
end you're gonna see
Okay.
all 12, and just we'll talk about it. Even if you have to do
Okay.
top three, like I didn't want to make this over. When we did like that point thing, like the best decades. No, I want to keep. Let's be
I know.
happy. Let's just
I
talk.
agree.
Let's talk about the scenes first. Let's
Yeah.
generate it, and then at the end, look, because then when you look at all 12, you're gonna be like, oh fuck! And the reason why I know kind of told you this, I just didn't want to tell you originally the whole idea about it. I know you had a premise is because I wanted your gut check. Like I've looked at these 12
Sure.
scenes and I have an idea of even a top three in what I think would be top one, but then I overthink it. You can be like, so it kind of helps like that instinct. You're going to be like, it's
Hmm.
got to be this, but we'll see. It's great. Soto, this is tough. And trust me, this is just 80s. Some of the scenes that were from before or after, there was a lot. And that's why I'm like, I don't want to talk all 100, but I kind of want to talk about some good ones. And 80s is where
Cool.
to start. So yeah, Back to the Future, classic movie, classic scene. Beetlejuice.
Ah,
Now this
yeah.
one we're
This
going more
is
in the comedy.
iconic too.
Oh my god! I still every now and then just bust out Deo.
Oh yeah.
I
This is one of my
have,
crushes. One of my crushes in the
yeah, you're
background
right
here.
there in the right there.
Hmm.
When I first saw this, because the tone of the movie first was a little bit, it mixed like Tim Burton does, dark comedy and stuff like that.
This is good
But
Tim Burton.
this this was so out of everything that was happening in the film, because Beetlejuice as a character is just out there. Everything's out there. How did a dancing scene become one of the most out there scenes in a Beetlejuice movie? Like we all love it, but you think about everything else that's happening, with ghosts and death and stuff like that and weird characters.
Yeah.
This is the scene we remember most. Like it seemed out of place, but perfect for a
Hmm.
Tim Burton movie, if that makes sense at all, because we were seeing all this other stuff, and then we just see this whole their dance and stuff like that, and I still laugh at the scene. It's such a great song. Obviously, it's the only time I sing it is when I think of this movie. But again, I'll kind of
Yeah.
give it to you a little bit. I know I started off, but what were your thoughts if you can even remember way back seeing this scene for the first time, but just this scene in this movie?
I mean, I thought it was awesome, and this is peak Tim Burton to me. I have my opinions about Tim Burton that I'll get into some other time, but about what Tim Burton is now, and I get into arguments with Sarah about this pretty regularly. But because this was like right after, if I'm not mistaken, it's right around because his first director debut was Pee Wee, the Pee Wee movie, which has a lot of Tim Burton stuff in it. And so as a kid, like, I'm watching my first intro to Tim Burton was Pee-wee's, I think it's Big Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
you know, Large Marge or whatever it is, like was in
Yep.
that. Like, like there's Tim Burton, like that is just like back when Tim Burton, it was like fresh and new. And so when I saw this as a kid, like, this movie we talked about a lot on like we like to call it the playground. This is like before the internet. In the 80s, like you would find things out, by the way, by like rumors that people would say on the playground, like that they had heard about, like unsubstantiated shit. Like you didn't have any way to verify it or anything like that. So we would talk about Beetlejuice, and when I finally saw this movie, it's like I hated the Dietz family. This dad, I forget his name, but I've seen him in so many 80s movies. He's in
Yes.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off as well.
I can't remember his name
Um,
either.
but I loved the kind of comeuppance that they got during this because, like, I related to Winona Ryder's character, and how she was like, people weren't believing her, like, and they were just telling her she was crazy and whatever and stuff like that. And so I loved that this was like the kind of the fun revenge scene that kind of validated her a little bit. And as a little kid, I fucking loved it because I felt like, again, like I related to her as a main character, and it was kind of like seeing the adults getting what was coming to them, which I still kind of feel like right now. It's like I always want to see the adults getting what's coming to them, even though I'm fucking 40. I'm just like, yeah, fuck the adults. But just the general scene, everything from the shrimp coming out and grabbing people's faces and everything like that, and Otho being weird. The whole design now, I have such an appreciation for it as an adult. I won't talk about the next Beetlejuice movie that's coming out, whatever. Um, but this was like super iconic for me and great. And again, like you, I always kind of walk around and have the song stuck in my head too. So, but peak Tim Burton, I don't give a fuck. People can be all about Nightmare Before Christmas. That's fine. Is what it is. Like that's not my generation. But this shit right here was part of some of Tim Burton's like really really great shit. So
Yeah, I can't remember. I remember Pee Wee's. Love Pee
so
Wee's.
good,
I
so
watched
good.
that show all the time, and yeah, the movie was great. This,
Ooh,
and
it's
then he got into
fantastic.
Batman. Like, yeah, you're right. That era for him, like, it's almost like he could do all these different genres, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you knew it was a Tim Burton movie, which is great. And like you said, I love the fact that yeah, the adults, they were finally shown that she was right. And the weird part about this is they were okay with this. They were laughing, having a good time afterwards. Like, oh, they
Yeah.
wanted to make this like a spectacle, a show, and that
Yes.
was like the twist you didn't see coming because the whole point was Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin were trying to get them out the fuck out of their house, and they
Yeah.
do this. Finally, got this whole elaborate thing, and then they just want to be a sideshow, and but it was great. And like the booty shakes, the butt shakes.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious though, because that woman there just, like, how's my butt dancing like this?
Oh
And
my God, that's right.
I cannot help. Yeah, I love this scene, and I love Beetlejuice. I mean, overall, it's just great. But yeah, I love
Great
this scene
movie.
because, in a weird way, out of everything, like I said, it was the one thing that should have seemed out of place in this movie, and it's the one of the best scenes that people remember most, just for the casual viewer. I know if you watch Beetlejuice
Yeah.
again and again, you'll remember other ones, but yeah, this was just a great scene and one that stood the test of time too. So,
Hmm.
all right, so our
Absolutely.
next movie that we're going to be talking about, or excuse me, iconic scene from the
Oh, yeah.
1980s, Big. Oh
Oh
my
man.
God, I know.
I
Um,
so wanted this thing.
yeah, I think we all
I
did as
so
kids,
wanted this thing.
and we
I
would
wanted to
assign.
live his life. I wanted to live Josh Baskin's fucking life. Like I was like, oh my God. Because at the time that I watched this, it's like when you're a little kid, you want to be big. Like
Yep.
it's so fucking. It's like, and this movie just captured that, and then it captures. Not. I know we're talking about scenes, but like this movie in general, like it captures the whole like. Yeah, you want to be big, but then it's like when you're adult, like there's complicated shit and feelings when you're adult that you
Hmm.
don't have when you're a kid. When you're a kid, you just get whatever. But dude, like eating ice cream, like playing games all the time, living
Taking
in
your
a
first
fucking
paycheck to the
penthouse.
arcade, yeah.
Yeah, like living in a penthouse and like that is like built for children, like clearly. And then this scene is just absolutely fucking magical, and it's just fucking. This scene is so great. Again, I wanted this fucking piano because it was just so fun, and with Robert Loggia in the scene, I mean, this is a fantastic scene. I can't even imagine how this is one. This has got to be one of the most iconic scenes of the '80s.
Yeah.
Because I think you could play this for anybody, and they know exactly what movie this
They
is.
know the song, they know everything. And from my understanding, and I could be wrong, is the fact that they actually played it. They actually,
I think they
because
did.
they
Chopsticks,
did,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, and
they
all that
no,
stuff,
but
yeah.
you watch their feet and it's the actual note. So it wasn't
Hmm.
like, I mean, obviously they probably had to do it a few times because, it's movies, but they actually, but what I also love about the scene is this is before, and I know you just said his name, but Tom Hanks' character before I think he got that job, and he comes across it, he accidentally just walks over it, and they're having a
Hmm.
serious conversation right beforehand about work and stuff, and then he just stops. Josh just stops, and he's just like play, because before they do the chopsticks, he's just kind of playing around on it. The
Hmm.
slide. That's the one. That's right. He slid like across, just having fun, like you said, as a kid, because he is a
Yeah.
kid, and then
Hmm.
the boss, he's just like, what are you doing? And then he gets in on the fun. He's like, it was good for Robert Loggia to be a kid again, in the scene.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think we all wanted this. And the funny thing is, I think when we went to New York City, I think it was just a year or two after this. I forget was this a Macy's? Like whatever it was, like this
Yeah, is that
place,
Macy's or yeah? I always
it
think of FAO
closed.
Schwartz, but that's more like
No, yeah, I think
Home
you're right. I
Alone.
think you're right. I think it might be. I could be wrong about where, but they closed down. I remember me and Jill were talking about this a little bit. Like, hey, if we see it, just to see the building. But I think it closed down like a couple. I could be wrong about how long, but it's no longer there. But anyhow, back to the scene. Obviously, we were what, like 10. I think this was 88. Was this because
Hmm.
this is 87, 88. I feel like this is more. I could be wrong. Um, Either way, when we saw this, like you, I wanted this piano, and it was just great, and I love it. And like you said, everyone knows chopsticks. Even if we play on a real piano, everyone who doesn't play piano learns chopsticks to a point.
From
Um,
this song, from this, for me,
for
from
this
this
for
movie,
this movie,
from this
yes,
scene,
yes, and it was just
dude.
such a great scene. You know, I loved it, and you're right. Big as a whole movie is just a friggin' great movie, and
Oh, it's
definitely, yeah,
fantastic, man. I mean, I'm a big Tom Hanks fan in general,
yeah,
but
same.
I was a kid, and it's like, I had the best friend, and it's like, you do all your kind of stupid ass things, but to go back to the scene, it's like, you're right, you're having this thing, and it's like, then they just stop everything to be a kid, and as an adult now, I can appreciate this a lot more than when I was a kid because, yeah, I think that you do still have to find the time to act like a little kid, and play stuff. I try to do that more often than not. I think that most of the times I do it, I'm trying to, I think we do it with drinking and partying, and we're like, oh, we're acting like little kids, but like, no, actually like doing play stuff. But at the same time, though, okay, like, we can't just play flag football like and just pick it up. Like, if we were involved in a game and like really went all out, if we tear our ACLs, dude, like there is nobody that's going to pay for that, like except for us. And then we're
Correct.
gonna like not gonna be able to do our job and shit like that. So I agree with being a kid to a point, and like I think you should have a kid mindset, but like don't think of your body unless you like work out and train your body. Like your
Know
body's
your
old,
body.
like and
Yes, know your
your
body.
tendons will fuck up. Like Kevin Hart just like a couple years ago or last year, right? He was trying to outrace a football player, and he ran so hard he literally like separated his abdominal muscles in his fucking thing, and like had to be in a fucking wheelchair. He's like, I fucked up, I blew out my shit. He's like, I blew out my shit because he's like, if you have a mindset, I think I can only speak from being a guy, but if you're a guy, you have a mindset that you're still like kind of like 12 years old, and that if you just do that you can still do whatever. Like you forget that your body's like actually gotten older. So I don't think you could tear your ACL playing the piano in this scene, but I think that the spirit of it is really cool. And I loved Robert Loggia's character in this movie. He was awesome. It's like one of my favorite Robert Loggia like movies. Like he was great. He saw exactly like what Josh was like doing, and just loved his spirit. Loved how it was refreshing energy and stuff like that. Like that shit was so good. This movie is awesome. And again, this scene you can show it to anybody that was born, in this time frame, millennials, Gen Xers, whatever you want to call it. They're gonna exactly know what this is from and where they were when they saw it. It's just
And be happy
this
about it.
this is the definition of an iconic scene,
Yes, definitely.
pop
Um,
culture wise.
yes, I definitely agree. All right, so our next one, as we're going down alphabetical order here,
Yeah,
um, we kind of talked about this in the past broadcast too, but the Breakfast Club, and
of
obviously,
course.
this is we go from a nice comedic scene to a kind of more of a dramatic, emotional
Yeah.
scene, which
Hmm.
mixes everything up. But obviously, the moment these five kids talk about their
Kids.
parents and how they got, yes, kids. Let's do kids in quotations, yes, but
Hmm.
high schoolers, you know. They talk about their parents and how much, their parents are influencing them, trying to make the decisions and how much they like their parents and how much all of them feel, majority of them just feel like they're screwed up, even though they're all different characteristics. So I know I said this is one of my top 5 movies of all time. Dated a little bit. Some things could be different, but still,
They're
John
still
Hughes is great.
teenagers.
Yeah, they're still teenagers, but it still applies today. No matter what high
Yeah.
school is, you feel like you're a part of something, you're not a part of something.
Hmm.
No matter what, I hate to say stereotypes, but it's always going to be around. So, and this scene kind of helped break down that wall for all of them. And, there before that there was little things, but this is the scene when they were talking. I think they just were themselves, and they weren't trying to portray, as they say in the movie, a jock, a nerd, a princess, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely one of the best '80s teen scenes, in my opinion, emotional wise. So I'm
That's
gonna
great.
probably throw this a little biased because, like I said, Breakfast Club is always in my top 5. But yeah, this scene as a whole, I love to watch. I wait for this scene, and it's just great. And all the actors in this are great as well. So,
Yeah, no,
but
I mean exactly. I think I love this scene too. I think probably a scene that um I kind of think about more in this movie is like when they're all fucking high and like dancing around and shit like that, and like Emilio Estevez goes into a fucking glass room and screams the glass out.
yeah.
Because
I
I
will be
find this
honest.
so
That
ridiculous.
that scene is also in the top 100, and it was tough. But this one was rated a little bit higher. But they call it the dancing scene. Yeah, so that scene was actually as well as part of the top 100 and up there. So
Yeah.
I was trying to do one per movie, and they're both iconic for different reasons. But to me,
Hmm.
this was a little bit more iconic. It was up there just because, like I said, this is what the whole movie kind of represented as a whole. Don't get me wrong, them getting high, having fun, and dancing was hilarious. It was great. Again,
So
the
funny.
walls were that kind of followed this. This is what it's like.
Yeah.
Let's just all get
Yeah,
high together and
this
have
is
a
the
good
come down.
time. Yes, but
Yeah.
I will tell you that scene was up there, or in the top 100, just not as high as this one. But this led to that. I think this is what, like I said, broke down those walls. walls. But anyhow, that
I
was a
mean, when
good
I see
scene as
that
well.
statue back there, I can only think about the bologna being thrown on it, or the whatever the fucking loaf, whatever the fuck it is, mortadella. There's some
Yeah,
bologna that gets thrown on that shit. Um, and the idea of Sunday detention or Saturday detention is so fucking funny to me. And I think
especially
that what
nowadays.
I know, but Ali Sheedy's character, like, is this where she like is pretty much like I didn't do anything. She just like showed up here. What was
Yeah,
the was
I had nothing
yeah
better to do today. I had nothing
because
else to do. It was so along those lines, like I had nothing else to do.
ahead of her time, man. Oh my God, this bitch was ahead of her time in this situation, man. She's like, I just didn't have anything to do, so I just hung out with detention so I could hang out with people. It's like, oh my God, yeah, it's just fucking great. Ali
Which is,
Sheedy, Molly Ringwald, peak.
yeah, I mean, all of them at this time. Yeah, Judd. Oh my God, such a great movie and such a great scene. Like I said, but it's hard, But yeah, I love the scene. It is great. But our next one, if I remember correctly, yep,
Oh my
Dead
God,
Poets. All
is this
right,
my captain? My captain.
yes, and this I love Dead Poet Society.
It's a great
One of
movie.
my
It
favorite
is.
Robin Williams movies, definitely before he got more in the serious
Yes,
one, doing more serious roles because this was kind of a good mix. Ethan Hawke, I was always a fan of too. This whole movie is powerful. I love this. This is
it's
I'm not
great.
going to say best, but one of my favorite Robin Williams movies ever. And yes, this end because at the time Robin Williams in the movie he got fired because one of the
Yeah.
other students who played Wilson in House, I forget his name and the actor's name, but you know committed suicide, and because of all that, they pinned it on Robin Williams. Different teaching styles and the fact that he got to some kids and they stood up for him, and I like the
Yeah.
fact that it wasn't all the kids because it just
Hmm.
shows what kind of teachers go through. You can reach to some kids, you're never going to reach to all of them, and I kind of like that idea too. Like these are the ones that Robin Williams reached to, but I will be honest. This is another personal thing. I think I just like again, kind of like Breakfast Club, like the emotional teenage stuff when they stepped up and oh Captain, my Captain, and that music starts. Like I get
Yeah.
goosebumps just thinking about it. But yes, to me,
Oh,
and a
it's
great ending,
fantastic.
perfect ending to this movie. So
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, and of course, obviously, some people are sitting down because they don't want to be part of this. Because, like, some people's, like, their reputations are tied to, like, all that stuff. So it's like, there's a lot of class, like, examination, like, in this movie as well and stuff. And it's like about doing the right thing, or the honorable thing and shit like that. So, I mean, but I love serious Robin Williams. I always have. I don't want to bring up Good Will Hunting and get, anybody in a flame war on our comments about it. Um, now that we've adequately discussed how that movie ends. But no, I I love this movie. It's great. It kind of feels like I'm due for a rewatch on it as well. But yeah, great ending. Fantastic.
and I will say because I actually did rewatch this recently within the last month. Um, Before all this even happens, this whole end scene is because the old teacher comes back and Robin Williams in the beginning of this movie had every kid rip out that first page of the poetry book because he
Yeah.
didn't like he's like you can't grade poetry. It's everything is how you feel. Everyone's going to interpret it differently. What
Yeah.
reaches to you, Soto, is not going to reach to me, vice versa. So the fact
Hmm.
that the teacher's like, hey, let's just start from the beginning, and they're all like, we don't have that page. Why not? And it just the whole thing led up to this. And yeah, like I said, it is an iconic scene. Maybe not the most iconic, but for me, again, one of my favorite because I think you joked about teenage angst and stuff like that, but high schoolers and just the emotional impact on this, I
Hmm.
think, which is so fucking great. And again, I'm a
No, it's
huge
great.
Robin Williams fan, and it's hard. It's hard not to root again. You root for
Hmm.
Robin.
Oh,
Oh,
all the time. Love Rob Williams.
so the next one, Soto, I know we've. Sorry, I kind of thought I forget which order they're coming in. So excuse me. The next
I
one's
know
Dirty
this one.
Dancing. Yes, I know you. Knew, we all know this one. The end scene to Dirty Dancing. I'll be honest, not a huge fan of the film. I do know it. It's got some parts, but it's nothing that I watch. But I obviously know the end, the whole dance sequence. No one puts
Yeah.
baby in the corner, and obviously
Yes.
this such as much as I know this isn't my kind of movie, and I've watched it a few times as a kid and teen. This is an iconic moment. You see this parodied time and
Oh my God,
time and
so many
time and
times.
time again to the point that it is overdone. But when you see this again and you watch it, you just, again, I know they had issues on set in real life, but the magic between them worked in this film. And yes, as far as dance movies, this is probably one of the most iconic ones that I can think of. And yes, this end, and this whole thing was just iconic. But yeah, I wasn't as much in love. I did grow up with four sisters, so I did see this more than I did, and
That's
I
what I was
didn't
gonna
mind it.
say
I
too.
think
Yeah.
I just it's not my cup of tea at that age, but I did see it quite a few times, and there's
I
some
just
things
couldn't
about
relate to it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, because like all the females in my life absolutely love this, and obviously my wife does too. And I love Patrick Swayze as well, but all the females in my life that love Dirty Dancing fucking love Dirty Dancing, and
Hmm.
it's like they quote it from I carried a watermelon. Uh,
Forgot
you know
about
what I
that
mean?
one. Right when
Like,
you said that, I remember that scene. Sorry.
like I remember these things because I've been around so many females. I grew up in a house full of women, and I've been obviously in multiple relationships. So this movie's always on, and I know Sarah loves this movie too. And yeah, I mean, it never struck a chord with me because I just never like put myself in Jennifer Grey's position with Patrick Swayze. I did have a crush on Jennifer Grey, but that's because I really had a crush on her in movie crush, a crush on her in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because she was the angry fucking sister who like Charlie Sheen and her ended up making out at the end.
Hmm.
Uh, but I was like, I don't know. I was like, damn, this girl's spicy. I love her.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, I mean, I've seen this a gajillion times. I love Patrick Swayze. Obviously, we've covered Roadhouse quite a bit, and as far as how Patrick Swayze works. But from a pop culture standpoint, there's no denying that this is like absolutely one of the greatest like moments of all time, movie wise.
Yep.
Like you said, parodied ad nauseum. Even in the '80s, it was parodied. I think probably now, like this generation might not fully get it. Um, Heaven forbid they try to remake this in any sort of way. I think they've tried to do like multiple sequels and stuff, but they just couldn't capture that original magic between Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey.
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
think that obviously that you always hear those stories too about people on set who have issues with each other. Um, Sometimes that translates really well on film, and it makes for like iconic like stuff, and you hear afterwards being like, "Oh, they didn't like each other," but it just works. But you cannot. I don't care what the fuck technology ever comes out for movies. You cannot recreate the chemistry that these two had in this movie, no matter what fucking happens. It might be different between two other people, and they might have a different kind of chemistry, but this chemistry that they had was like a fucking lightning bolt in this entire movie, and for the '80s as well, and I think for much longer to come too. So um, next time it comes on, I'll give it a good watch, I guess.
Just remember, we're old. We can't pick anyone up like this. Do not try. Do not try.
If I picked
uh,
up my wife like this, and this is me with my body right now, I would literally I would probably just like fold, like, or I would definitely be in pain. I am not a spring chicken, that's for sure.
no. All right. So the next movie, the one that I was originally thinking, I know we've talked a few times about because you. This is one
Oh
of
my
my
God.
favorites, but I know you talk about how sad and scary this was in some scenes. But this scene in
Yes.
particular, this scene, ET in particular, the bike in front of the moon,
I don't remember
you know,
that. Well, I mean, of course, this is like Amblin's, like, this is Steven Spielberg's, like, fucking whole thing.
obviously, yes, it became a logo, but in the movie, the kids. I mean, it happened twice, and I
Did it?
believe, yes, because what happened was there's one where Elliot was about to go off a cliff, and ET kind of took him up, and then if you remember, they were running away from cops, which in now the special edition DVDs, they changed the guns into walkie-talkies, and they're trying to
No.
stop all the yes,
No.
that we'll save that for another day. The special edition changes that we hate,
Oh, that's
but then
just
all the
like
kids
fucking
go
with
up.
the
So
art.
yeah, but anyhow, it happened twice. But the first time it happens, ET saving Elliot, and they go across the moon. Obviously, it was a great scene in the movie, and
Yes.
yes, it's been another
It's an
scene that's been
iconic
parodied,
shot.
and it's
Yeah.
exactly, and like you said, it's like now the logo and stuff like that. But it is
For
just you
Amblin,
just
yeah.
see it, even if people who don't see them, they just see it, and they just know. I know some people love or hate the movie because it is a little long. There's some parts that drag, especially
Yeah.
nowadays. But I still love ET, and yes, this
It's more terrifying than anything. It's more
I remember you
terrifying than
saying that.
Jaws. Like,
Well, I don't know about that. I mean,
well,
but
Jaws, you never even see the fucking shark, right? And it's like, the whole thing that happens. But this is like there's some terrifying things that happen like that are very disturbing for children to watch, and I'm only speaking for myself because there are scenes in this that I still remember, like this, and I've talked about this, I'm sure, but like when they're
Yes.
trying to resuscitate him with the fucking paddles,
Yep.
and like he's fucking, or they find him like all white in a ditch in a creek. This shit was fucked up, man. Shit was fucked up. This movie's fucked up. I never think about ET, and I never even want to rewatch it because it's like I don't have pleasant memories about ET. Like I know Drew Barrymore's in it, but I remember Elliot calling his brother penis breath, which that stayed with me for a long time. Um,
Yep.
because I was like penis breath, and at the time that I watched it, I was like penis breath. What? I didn't understand why a penis. Yeah, I couldn't put the two together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that stayed with me a little bit. But yeah, this movie is like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know how to categorize this among Steven Spielberg films. Obviously, Steven Spielberg is a genius and iconic as a director himself. With this shot alone, yes, this is one of the most iconic shots, and you know exactly what it is. But this movie overall, just it just
And I
just
can, yeah,
weird
I
for
know
me.
we've had this talk about it being scary, and it wasn't for you. And I know, like I said, I love it, and I know we talked about
You were
Taco
older than I
Times.
was
I,
when we
I
saw
got
it.
you by
That's what it
4 years,
was.
but
Yeah.
I also, like I said, but if we're just looking at scenes, iconic scenes,
Scenes,
yeah,
yes.
and I know if you don't remember what led up to this, yes, they're being chased by cops, and yes, in the special editions or like the re-release, Steven Spielberg took out the guns, put in walkie. It was this
Bullshit.
huge debate. I know, but
Bullshit.
anyhow, but like I said, what led to this shot, an iconic moment. Unforgettable moment.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, definitely something like any '80s, early '80s kids, because this is 1982. So this came out
Yeah, dude,
when you
I
were
was
born. So
yeah, basically I
yeah,
was like a year old maybe. I eventually saw it like maybe 2 or 3 years after on Betamax. Uh I know, no everyone's like what the fuck is Betamax, but it was a thing. Um yeah, but it was just disturbing. And I used to run around and scare my little sister with like my ET figure I had. If I ran around and showed it to her, she would literally start screaming and running away. So I hope she's
uh,
listening because she remembers. I think probably till this day she's still scared of it.
all right. So our next one, um, probably out of all the movies, if I can do the years correctly, might be the oldest one because I think it came out in 1980.
Jeez.
So I don't think anything else. Oh, but it's a scene you will know.
Oh,
Empire
holy
Strikes
shit.
Back, the "I am your
Yeah.
father" scene.
God, I
And
thought, Chad, I thought we were not going to talk about Star Wars today. I was
well,
really excited.
I know, and yeah, I know we got a Star Wars talk coming up,
We sure do.
but this, because this was 1980, so, but obviously, any Star Wars fan, this scene, original trilogy fan, obviously,
Hmm.
um, where Luke finds out Darth Vader is his father. Um, totally iconic for the movie. And again, another scene that gets parodied. It's a cultural phenomenon in
Hmm.
different ways and stuff like that. But they just had not just even what led up before the announcement. A big battle, lightsaber battle between the two of them. Luke loses his hand. All is even before he announces it, all is looking lost and bleak for Luke because he's climbing out in the middle of nowhere. He's got nowhere to go. He
Hmm.
barely knows how to use the Force at this time. He knows a little bit, so it's not like we see nowadays he can float away. And then you're so filled with dread because you think Luke's going to lose
He
and
can
something
float
bad's
away.
and then they hit you with this line, and it's
Yeah.
almost like it just came out of left field because you weren't expecting that line here. You're like, how's Luke going to get out? Who's going to save him? And they
Are
obviously
you
the
trying
emotion.
not to spoil this line? Is that what you're
Oh
actively
no,
trying to
I know
do?
you. I thought I said it. I am your
Okay, okay,
father.
okay.
I
Okay.
I don't even think I need. No, no, I'm not trying to say it. I honestly thought I said it. I'm sorry. Anyone who knows it, knows Star Wars, knows I am your father. Um,
I'm
but
sorry,
yes, to me,
guys.
no, yes. Spoiler alert from a
It's not the
movie from
usual
44
suspects, you
years
know what I
ago.
mean? Usual suspects is a little bit different, but this is like pop culture, like you were saying.
Yeah, everyone, I mean, but like I said, I was just trying to everything that led up to it too, though. It wasn't just like
Hmm.
that line, him announcing it, the fight and everything, and then obviously Luke drops and somehow grabs on. But to me, this is just not just one of the biggest moments in Star Wars, one of the biggest scenes ever, most iconic. Um, Yeah, I mean, this hit us like a ton of bricks. So I don't know what you thought of it when you first saw it, but go ahead. What do you got?
Well, this is one of my first like aside from Back to the Future, this was like one of my first situations where I dealt with because this happens towards the end,
Correct.
and like it was at the age that I was, I had to learn that things can be open ended and they're not like resolved because then Luke gets his hand chopped off. Sorry, everybody. Um, Luke also dies from being tired in the future. Just spoiler alert. Um,
Hans and
but
Carbonite right before this too. So like not just what happened to Luke,
it
but
just
remember,
it
yeah,
just ends like I mean yeah, Luke gets like rescued and everything, and that's a great shot and everything. But this scene led up to like, and then it ends, and I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna see Return of the Jedi because I have no concept of that as a younger kid. And so this huge revelation gets dropped on me, and I have to unpack it as a child, and then I don't get to resolve that for like a long time, and that was huge. Um, this whole entire thing, it just kind of taught me that the good guys can lose, and they can lose like in the big picture, and like things can be vague. I think that's why I think that Empire Strikes Back is such a great movie, is because like things don't like tie up. Like things end and there are resolutions, but things are kind of messy at the end of it.
hmm
And it's done, again, Han is like in question, like what's going to happen with him, and everything that's going on. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. So this, and it's as a twist goes, for it to be like, every story has a twist, but this is a pop culture iconic twist, and it changed the rest of it. And I think that's why kind of Return of the Jedi is a little bit weaker as a movie, in my opinion, because you kind of like, the big reveal happened, and nothing really happens to Return of the Jedi except a bunch of really boring ass fights that go back and forth. So this was great. When it hit me as a kid, I was like fucking stunned, and yeah, and I was, man, so looking forward to seeing what a backstory could look like with Anakin Skywalker, because
yeah.
it had been built up so well, and I was like, there's no way that anybody could mess up uh, filming the backstory to this great iconic character. I mean, how could you do it? Everything's been laid out so perfectly. So, and I'm just so happy that the prequels were able to honor that.
All right, should we move on? Because I don't want us to get into the prequel talk, but in all honesty, yes. I mean, again, we've covered it all. I mean,
Yeah.
even people who are non-Star Wars fans know I Am Your Father. They know it was the big moment, and
Yeah.
it's lasted years afterwards. But yeah, definitely iconic scene. Like you said, this whole movie just ended on a down note,
Oh, it's
because
awesome.
especially you didn't know what was going to happen, and I think that's the first time like, oh, we got to see the next one. When's the next one coming out? When can I go rent it? Blah blah blah. But yeah, it was just such a powerful moment, and one in I don't want to say the wrong way, just it wasn't like a happy powerful moment. It just everything hit you. It was a gut punch for us as kids.
Yeah.
Everything was just like, what the fuck. But
Hmm.
yeah, definitely, I think one of the more iconic scenes that it's going to be tough. Like I said, I'm already looking at everything
Yeah.
that's happening and what's to come, and I'm like, oh my god. But we'll get to it. But anyhow, our next movie,
Oh my God.
Ghostbusters. Now, I
Yeah.
will admit there was two. Before we get into the Stay Puff Marshmallow scene and basically the end of Ghostbusters, there was a second scene, and it was the Slimer thing where Bill Murray goes, "I've been slimed," and I'm like, that was a fun scene, but to me this was a little bit more iconic than that one. So I that's why I went with this. I was just saying there was a second one to Ghostbusters, but
There's a lot of iconic scenes in this movie in general.
it is, and a lot of iconic lines. But I just think
Hmm.
the Stay Puft Marshmallow, why this one to me, out of everything in the original Ghostbusters, is iconic, is because they're going into the final battle. We're just like, all right, shit's going down. We're ready, and then they're like, clear your minds, and you don't know what's coming. And out of every fucking, I know that'll become a joke and a meme at some points, but at the time you're just like, what? He's like, I just remember camping the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and you see
It's
this
a Stay
big.
Puft Marshmallow Man. Just Dan Aykroyd's delivery is like, yeah, it's just like,
And
what
you
did
just
you
see this,
do?
you're like, something that's supposed to be like pure evil, and then you're just seeing a marshmallow, and yeah, obviously they gotta fight it, and it's just, That's what made Ghostbusters so great because they're like, listen, we're gonna be campy, we're gonna be silly, but we're gonna own it, and it's just fucking great.
It's like we
The
gotta cross
reveal
the
was just
streams. It's like you said,
hilarious.
crossing the streams was bad.
Yeah,
Okay, I love
exactly.
this plan. Let's do it. I love this plan. Absolutely, let's do it. I mean, Bill Murray. I love Bill Murray, and I will always love Bill Murray. And it's like this mixture, like him just being like that. Again, I have so many bad influences of growing up as far as characters that molded who I am. Bill Murray is one of them, along with like Han Solo and Harrison Ford's portrayal. It's just like sarcastic asshole
Hmm.
who just has to throw quips out for everything and just be like the asshole of the fucking group. And that was Bill Murray for me. And it's like this whole entire thing was fucking great. I mean, Bill Murray's not even a scientist, really. I mean, I think he is a scientist in the movie, but we could talk about Ghostbusters in a different podcast. But the concept of Bill Murray in this movie is absolutely absurd if you like rewatch it. I don't understand how he has a job.
Well, no, because I remember again. I know we're getting away from the scene. That original test, he was like, kind of like electrocuting their brain, trying to mind read, the cards. And there was the beautiful young lady, and then
Of
she's
course.
just getting it wrong every time. He's like, "Oh man, you're," and then there's like a time or two. The other guy actually got it correct. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like I don't know how Bill Murray is assigned this, but. To go back to the end of the scene, it was just a good ending to what this film was all about. Absurdness, yes, fun as a way, but the whole end and Gorza and stuff like that, and those dogs started getting scary. Again, I'm going as a kid. That shit was a little bit scarier for this
Good
film.
special effects.
Yeah,
Good special effects for the time. Very
but the
good.
whole thing was kind of campy, and then they kind of took this little dark turn, and then you're like, whoa, okay, because that's what made that again that final battle that you thought was going to happen. You're like, all right, this is some serious shit right now. Dogs, friends with cats, blah blah blah. But then again, you see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and as much as like this is supposed to be, you just could not help but laugh. Everything was just funny. His facial and the fact that when they finally kill it, just marshmallow everywhere. I was gonna say white goo
Yeah.
everywhere. I censor that, people,
Oh,
but
I wanted to eat it. Not the white goo,
I
like
know
you
what you meant. But
insinuated,
yes,
but
it was just like you
I
wanted
was
to
like,
make
I want to be
s'more.
covered in marshmallows. Like when I know it was like shaving cream, I guess is what they used, but
Probably, yeah.
I was like, oh my god, what an amazing thing it would be to have to like eat all that marshmallow. It'd be so good. Because as a kid, it's all you care about is fucking candy.
Hmm.
And it was a great way to end it. Just the whole thing, crossing the streams, awesome. And this thing was actually kind of terrifying.
I don't know.
Stay Puft Marshall Man. Like it had some angry faces there. So
It did have some angry faces, but again, out of everything that you expected to come down there, it's a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Oh,
that's a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yeah, it's
but
fucking great.
definitely, an kind of iconic movie, but definitely an iconic scene. So, all right. So for our next movie, we are looking at The Karate Kid.
Oh
And
God,
obviously, it's the a culmination of the wax
we
on,
haven't
wax
talked
off,
about
stand the
this.
force. Everything that he's been doing turns out to be a defensive move. And again,
Yes.
another scene that kind of gets referenced here and there. You just hear wax on, wax off, and you think Mr.
Hmm.
Miyagi, obviously.
Of
But
course.
again, it is funny to look back. But when you first see the scene and Daniel all of a sudden is defending everything that Miyagi's throwing at him, you're like, oh shit. You kind of understand it. You're like, if you're remembering when you watch this for the first time, because you're
Hmm.
like, why is he doing all these chores? Again, because we did not know. And then he does all this thing, and you're just like, oh shit. So,
Oh, it's
uh,
great. He throws a tantrum too, and that's when Miyagi is just like, okay, bitch, bitchy Daniel son, like I'm gonna show you exactly why the fuck you've been doing this, like,
yep,
and all that shit. So, and it works out so great. Again, Daniel was such a bitch in this movie,
he was.
um, that it's insane. But the movie itself is good. Obviously, we've talked about other movies in this series, but yeah, this is an iconic scene. Loved it. Um, I don't know. I mean, when I think about Karate Kid, I think you agree. I like the tea ceremony a little bit more than the second one, but that's just me.
Yeah, but
Uh,
we're going with
but from
iconic scenes.
everybody,
Iconic
pop
scenes.
culture
Yes.
wise, yes, wax on, wax off is part of people talk about that, make that joke all the time. Um, and again, when I saw it, it was great. It was a great reveal, so super impactful. And yeah, this scene started an entire franchise of which we're still watching today. So,
Yes, and spoiler alert, in a couple weeks, the review of Next Karate Kid's coming out. So, yeah, that
oh
should be
man,
great.
that was a good one. That was a
Yeah.
good movie.
But yeah,
Yep.
definitely iconic moment in this series. So our next one, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh yeah.
Everyone knows the fucking boulder scene. Again, it's
Yes.
something that's been talked about, parodied time and time
Even
again.
in
But when
video games, you see it.
video games, but when this happened, it's like, oh my god. I mean, I think you said it. This is the perfect adventure movie. Um,
Yes.
and this kind of what starts it because you're kind of figuring out what he's trying to do. He's trying to steal, and you see some booby traps, and then he just pulls whatever that was off the pedestal, and then a
Hmm.
big fucking boulder comes chasing Indy down. But definitely, I mean, like Indiana Jones, the trilogy has so many iconic scenes, but by far, to me, this is the most iconic scene in the series. This just defined
Huge.
everything.
I mean,
So
as far as like a big action set piece, back in the day, obviously it was 1982, I want to say, but yeah, it's a
could
big
be.
action
It
set
sounds
piece.
right.
It's great, and again, gets referenced all the time. Boulders still try to kill you in video games. Um,
Unless you're Chris
and
Redfield, you can punch it.
oh my God, when people talk about the remake for Resident Evil 5, they're always like, how are they going to remake him punching the boulder? But I digress. But yeah, this scene was wild. It was very exciting as a kid. And I mean, this is the opening scene of this film.
Yeah.
Okay, in a film where Nazis' faces get melted off by like looking at like the spirit of God.
Hmm.
So, this is a great way to start that movie.
It was, and yeah, it's everything that led up to this. Um, because it built up the tension, and I think if I remember correctly, kind of right before was was it this or was it Temple of Doom where like the guy betrayed him? I'm trying to remember. It's been so long. I know you
He
remember
gets
these
betrayed all
movies.
the time. Temple of Doom is when he's like he gets betrayed by that guy who poisons him at the very beginning, where Anything Goes is playing and shit,
Yeah, yeah.
and
No, but
like
I thought,
Short Round's dad gets killed or something.
yeah, no, but I thought in this like, see, he was like, throw me the rope, throw me the rope, throw me the statue kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
so
gets
that
betrayed by the guy that plays
he,
Doc Ock.
oh
He's
god, yeah,
actually
that's
an
right.
actor.
Yeah, yes, yes. Alfred
Yes.
Molina or something. Yeah,
Thank you. Alfred
yeah.
Molina is the one that betrays him in this one.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
that
that it
sounds
was
pretty
that
good.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew.
He finds him dead later.
Yes, because he got the like he stepped on the trap with the poison darts.
Stupid.
That's it. Yeah, but yes, to me, the just running the boulder, the indie, the hat, just the outfit, everything is this. It is. This is again iconic. We remember it. Like you said, it's been referenced so much. Games have it now. Um,
Hmm.
Board games have been made off of it. I remember like what was it called, Fireball Island and shit like that. But
I'm sure Pitfall was based off of this shit too.
yeah, because Pitfall I
Right?
think
Like
was
the
82,
the
80.
beginning,
Yeah.
like Atari like games. It's like
I don't think
yeah,
it
like
had the
we saw this
boulder,
shit.
but I definitely remember playing Pitfall.
No,
But
but it's like the
yes,
same kind of
the
idea where it's like there's booby traps and you're an adventurer and you're trying to get away from shit, and
getaway snakes and alligators. So, but yeah,
Indy hates snakes.
he does. He definitely does.
Hmm.
I think we might have one more left. Yeah, so the last
Oh my
one.
God.
Again, like Dirty Dancing, probably not one of my favorite movies, but When Harry Met Sally,
Yeah.
everyone knows this. Another scene, because this is
People
late.
know this that haven't even seen this
Yeah,
movie.
the
Which I was just at dinner, or I was at breakfast with my wife, and it was like, like how sometimes you go to a restaurant, they have like Trivial Pursuit.
hmm
And we were referencing, and she was like, well, I don't know that. I've never seen that movie, but I know that scene.
yeah.
That's how iconic this scene is.
And then the end, the I'll have what she's having kind of thing. But
Hmm.
yeah, definitely nothing that kids might want to see. You want to show your kids at that time. But like you said, it's definitely something everyone knows in our age group, at least. Like you said, maybe the younger kids, they don't know this movie as well. This is probably out of everything we've talked about the least popular movie. That hasn't stood the test of time. I mean, like, because we had Star Wars, Indie, stuff like that. I'm just trying to think, but definitely, like you said, everyone knows the scene, the fake orgasm scene. Billy Crystal's just like, I can tell, and she's just like, oh really, and just basically shows
Yeah.
him up. Um, Definitely Rob Reiner at his finest. I don't
Yes.
remember too much about this movie. This is probably the one movie I haven't seen in such a long time and haven't watched a lot, but again, like you said, you're out to dinner, or just the joke, I'll have what she's having, whatever. People just
Yeah.
know this scene. So,
People
um,
know the scene and never have seen it. Again, it's got to be the most watched iconic scene for a movie that nobody like. There's people that probably didn't even know what movie this is from.
true, yeah, and but for romantic comedies, it's definitely up there. So,
Hmm.
all right, but now comes the question, Soto. We've kind of gone through a lot of iconic scenes from the '80s.
Wow, we really did.
We did, and I said there's 12, and here's all 12 in a nutshell. Now, I don't
Wow.
know if you can.
Wow.
If you can't pick one, maybe a top three, and that might even be hard. But what would your opinion be for the most iconic scene in the '80s?
Iconic. Okay, so I'm gonna choose the top three in no particular order. I'm just gonna choose the three most iconic in this list.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the easiest way to do it. Okay. It's like as I go over all these. I have to put Dirty Dancing in there because
Wow. Okay.
that scene is undeniably iconic. Now I am looking at these scenes strictly from a pop culture like phenomenon, like what is like an iconic scene, right? Like as far as like impact to the pop culture, impact to cinema in general.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Dirty Dancing, again, that's a scene people see and they don't even know what movie that is, and they know like they know that scene.
Yeah.
So that's one of them for me. I have to choose, and then of course I have to choose Empire Strikes Back. The twist, the reveal, the scene, everything, is truly one of the most perfect scenes. Uh, oh God, and I have to choose the big scene. I do. Those are my three. Uh, I could go with the Meg Ryan one because again of just the impact of culturally, but the big scene is huge. Everyone knows it. It started everybody doing chopsticks, and that one's great. I mean, the other scenes are awesome, but Dirty Dancing, that shot in itself is so iconic. Fuck, I could even say the ET one is too. Fuck, man. Like like I'm talking about like shots. The ET shot is obviously super iconic. Um, fuck, man.
Well,
Yeah.
let me talk as you think through this, because when I saw this, there's some like I know I say I love the Dead Poet Society and Breakfast Club scene, but looking at the rest, there's no way they're as iconic as some of these other ones. To me, I like if I had to pick a number one, and I will give you my top three. But when I was looking at this, my number one was the Empire Strikes Back. Luke, I am your father, and I think maybe a little biased because we are Star Wars fans, but I think non-Star Wars fans just know it. But to me, I always look at that as iconic, but I can see how others do. If I had to round out my top three, and now that we talked about it, it's hard because you put up a good point for Dirty Dancing and Big, but I originally, and I have to keep it up there, the ET scene, and I know it's not the movie wasn't yours as a whole, but that
That's what
scene is
yeah,
iconic.
that's a
And then,
shot.
yeah,
Super iconic. Yeah.
and it's so tough because a lot of the other movies I love, Karate Kid, Back to the Future, but if I had to round out the top three, it's Indiana Jones. It's that Boulder scene. It kind of, like you said, it was a great start to the movie. And it's so hard because, like you said, the big scene, as we were talking about, I'm like, yeah, I did feel like a kid. It was such a great scene. And Dirty Dancing,
Hmm.
again, though not my movie, everyone knows that pose and stuff like that. Um, as much as I love Ghostbusters, I can't put that even in the top three and stuff like that. But yeah, if I had to pick my top three, Empire Strikes Back, E.T., and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Which,
Yeah.
if you go with your top three and my top three, we only have one shared, which means Empire Strikes Back may have the best scene. If we had to choose, we combine. There's only one that was both in our top three, but yeah, E.T. is
It's a
close to
phenomenal
maybe the
scene.
number one. But if I think the Empire Strikes Back as a whole, because you said E.T. was a good scene leading up, and everyone just knows that shot, kind of
Well,
like the
from a
Dirty Dancing.
shot, like a cinematic shot, it's the best cinematic shot of all of these, like from a pure cinematic like standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it's symbolic. It immediately evokes a feeling. You've seen that shot in other movies, like for Amblin. So you know that shot. It's like you know exactly what experience you're gonna get. So yeah, that's a great shot.
It is.
But I agree. Empire Strikes Back is. not just a great Star Wars movie, it's a great movie.
Yes.
Um, for all the reasons we've covered in multiple podcasts and we talked about, as well. So that's a great scene. Revelation is fantastic. Um, I mean, in Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, I mean, this is a great scene. I find other scenes more iconic. I mean, for me, the iconic scene is him when you first see his shadow, and you know it's Indiana Jones because it's just done. His character design is done so well. I love the Karate Kid scene. That's a great scene too.
It
Super
is.
iconic, but
They all are.
and of course, Back to the Future is too. Like, yeah, the flames underneath like Marty and Doc, like fucking, oh my god, great. But Dirty Dancing, Star Wars, big to me. I mean, they started things culturally that like we still see sometimes today. And it's a great feeling and a vibe with the big one. That I can't not put other things against them. I'm not saying that the other scenes are bad, but if
No,
I had to
and
choose, I choose those.
you put up a good fight for Dirty. Even Big, I would put Dirty Dancing ahead of Big as far as scenes. I mean, like I said, I didn't think about it. Again, this is why I like having your gut check a little bit. Because again, I was looking through this and I'm like, okay, it's tough. And, I felt like to me, I would say the I Am Your Father scene is the best scene, most iconic. Excuse me, I shouldn't say best, most iconic one. But you're right with some of the other ones. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. And it's hard because, they're just so memorable. So,
I mean, Dirty Dancing is a culmination. That shot and scene is a culmination of the entire fucking movie. That's the climax. Like everything was built for this scene to happen, and the payoff is fucking tremendous.
so hold on.
Uh,
Oh, sorry.
you know,
Well, finish it.
no, that's it. That's it.
I want to ask a quick outsider. Someone. I want to ask my wife. You did not listen to this whole podcast, hon. But if you look at those 12 scenes, iconic 80s movie scenes. This is what we've been talking about. What would your maybe just iconic, not favorite? What would you say the top three, or maybe your most? What do you think is the top three iconic scenes?
Most iconic of the 80s?
Yes, 80s movies. We're not even doing anyone's. But out of these 12, what would you say is the most iconic three, in your opinion? She's thinking.
Iconic.
Iconic.
Regardless of my opinion.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Regardless of opinion, what you think is
E.T..
E.T.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, this is hard.
That's what we've been talking about the last hour. Yes.
So E.T. 1, Dirty Dancing 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I'm torn between 3.
That's all right. You can say for what are your other three? You don't have to. What would you say is?
Indiana Jones, Big, and Back to the Future.
Oh, she's got a few. She didn't even put "I Am Your Father" as 3
Mm-mm.
or in top 3. Yeah, but yeah,
God bless her.
she did say "Back to the Future." That's when we. Yeah, no, they're all iconic. It's so hard. Yeah, but
I think these are definitely the top 2.
Yeah, E.T. and Dirty Dancing, she puts it top 2. So you know what? Based on what me and you said, I mean, yeah. So I would say between all of us, Empire Strikes Back, Dirty Dancing. Oh God, yeah, it's tough. E.T. and Big, like I said, I do see how a lot of them are iconic. Like I said, you talked, both of you. I think as we are talking, you definitely put Dirty Dancing. You know what? I would put Dirty Dancing more than Indy as well.
You have to.
I know it's just tough because I always remember the boulder roll, that whole scene, the whole it started. But you're right. I mean, this is why I didn't want to tell you what the scenes were. I didn't want you to think. I just wanted your good gut check. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Patrick Swayze wins again.
Let's put it this way: based on the three of us, Empire Strikes Back and Dirty Dancing top 2, and we'll leave it at that. Because based on what we said,
I can go. I can agree with ET. Like, I mean, ET. I can't deny how iconic it is. That shot specifically. I don't even know what the fuck leads up to that shot or after that shot, but I know that shot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I know I remember that movie. I watched it more, but again, like I said, it's the kids running from the cops trying to get ET. It's basically the end of the movie. There is one, but anyhow, all right. Let's move on from this iconic scenes. We're going to end this.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that was
quite a project.
That was.
Okay,
that took
all
a little bit.
right.
Go ahead.
I have to ask you now because I didn't want to ask you this before. A, why are you wearing a bow tie with an open shirt? Okay, because I'm assuming that's you.
I don't know. It's Soto's on the left-hand
side. What
side.
kind of gun is that?
I
that
don't
you're
know.
holding? And am I holding a fishing pole or a gun? I'm so
Well,
confused.
my name's on the right side, so I'm going to say you're the bow tie guy. I don't know. This is just the funny thing that AI popped up when I said, "Hey, make a logo, Soto and Chad
It
logo
looks
in
like he's like
Indiana Jones."
hitting like a very expensive vape pen. And okay, I guess if that's you with the glasses, because you do have glasses, it looks like you're having a fishing pole.
All right, let's not talk about it. It's just this is the best one. You want to see some of the other ones that came up? That is hilarious, but
Oh man, I don't know, man. We should have like a separate episode one day where we just review like the ones we didn't choose and just go, wow, because that bow
yeah.
tie, what is it doing there?
I'm you know what? I'll be honest.
What is it
with you.
connected to?
I didn't even notice the bow tie.
What is it? Is it like what is it connected to? Like,
I
where
don't
does
know.
Indiana Jones wear a bow tie?
I don't know. All right.
But like, I can understand if the shirt was closed, but it's
Well,
open.
I am a
Like, it's like
well.
a
Let's put it this way.
Chippendales thing.
I am a Doctor Who fan, and the 11th Doctor wore bow ties a lot, and he always said bow ties are cool. So that's kind of
Okay.
what I would say.
Without like being connected to a shirt.
I don't want to
What kind of
talk
Doctor
about
Who
it.
is this?
An Indiana Jones themed Doctor. I don't know.
The Indiana Jones themed Chippendales party, man.
All right, that's a podcast for another day. All right, so if anyone listened towards the end, let us know what some of the iconic scenes that from the 80s movies that you like. Should we do 90s, other ones? Let us know. Yeah, we're about to go play some Helldivers, so I'm going to end this, and we're going to get situated.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. We talked a lot of good movies today, so.
Sure did.
But until next time, we'll talk to you all later.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.